Hello there, friends, and welcome back to more Metaphor Fantazio. Last time, we completed the game and saw everything there was to see in the Kingdom of Urconia after we made it, well, hopefully, a little better. And today, we are here back on the title screen because our journey is not done just yet. We are going to be going through the entirety of New Game Plus in this one video, and we're going to be taking a look at some things that I might have missed, or going to be taking a look at things that I deliberately left out of talking about because I wanted the game to speak for itself, and now we can talk about all of the city little and nitty-gritty things that the game hid from us in plain sight, or just completely removed from the game entirely. So we're going to have some fun with that. However, there will also be a lot of extra content that we are going to be exploring here today, so stick around for that. I'll have timestamps in the description of the video, depending on what you want to see, and you can jump around at your own pace. Now, for right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be loading up our completed save file, which was 97 hours and 47 minutes for this playthrough alone. My first playthrough clear data was 76 hours and 38 minutes. A lot of the extra time came from me, in hindsight, messing up my hard mode grinding in the Tyrant Star, and also just kind of leaving the game on in between recording sessions. I would say 76 hours is actually closer to what you're likely going to be getting whenever you are going through this. Now, obviously, my playthrough clear data, close to 100 hours, we're definitely going to be seeing 100 hours by the end of our run here. Anyways, if you want to start up New Game Plus with your completed save data, go ahead and use your clear data to begin this. Ah, yes, this awesome artwork. Now, let's see here. Who should guide the protagonist this time? Well, last time I utilized my channel name. I think we're gonna go with Mr. Final... I can't do Mr. Final Fantasy. I'll go with Mr. Persona. There we go. Mr. Persona. Yeah, even at the very beginning of the game, it clearly indicated to us, the player, that this is a story. I mean, obviously we're playing a video game, but the whole fourth wall breaking at the very end of the game is definitely foreshadowed and kind of bookended because of this segment right here. And obviously we know exactly who we're talking to at this point in time, so yay. Alright, now that we are in New Game Plus, we have access to one new difficulty, but because I didn't go over Storyteller, let's go ahead and do that first. This is available to you at the very beginning of the game. Essentially, it makes it to where you get a crap ton of mag and AE XP, even more than you would on easy mode, and it weakens the enemy's defenses significantly, boosts your own, and also makes it to where you can continue fighting even if you die. You can basically keep retrying over and over and over and over and over again, and it's almost impossible to permanently lose unless you just give up yourself. This is definitely just for those who want to experience the narrative and don't have any interest in doing any of the fights. Personally speaking, I still think it's nice to be on easy mode, because with Storyteller, you cannot swap the difficulty. So if you really want an easy story, go ahead and use Storyteller. But if you are interested in potentially trying out the other difficulties, go with easy. Like I mentioned that earlier. Now, the new mode, exclusive to New Game Plus, unless you were to mod your save file, is Regicide, a high-risk, high-reward mode for only battle-hardened players. So that description is half true. In terms of high-risk, high-reward, essentially what happens is the enemy's defenses are significantly raised while your party's defenses are significantly lowered. And rewards are not nearly as lucrative. Along with this, mag costs in Academia are tripled. More, you stingy bastard. Alongside that, if you were to hit a weakness on an enemy, it does way more damage than it would normally. I believe the actual value is triple damage, rather than it is currently. And that goes same for if the enemies hit your weaknesses. So essentially, you are in a very, again, as the description says, a high-risk, high-reward scenario where you really need to be hitting enemy weaknesses in order to be doing damage. Now, with abilities like Wanton Destruction, that doesn't really matter all that much. And with all the accessories we've gotten, we're not going to worry about our weaknesses all that much. So, Regicide as a New Game Plus difficulty is nice. I really wish this was available at the beginning of a regular playthrough, so the true difficulty of that mode could be experienced. because as it is, not really. Anyways, we're going to be starting with Regicide and going through New Game Plus on this difficulty. Now, once you pick this, you cannot go back. Same with Storyteller, so be sure you want to do this. I guess there's one last thing to note. There is a singular boss in the game that cannot be fought on Storyteller and must be fought on either easy or through Regicide mode. So if you want to fight the super boss of the game, you need to not be on Storyteller. Anyways, Regicide time. I've already killed, well, Luis killed one king. I already killed one wannabe king. This is close enough to Regicide. It is neat to know that the first time we see Gallica and Will interacting is on the carriage ride to Grand Trad, so we never actually get to see their meeting, so we just have to assume their friendship. So it was a good way of kind of masking that. And their relationship is believable enough to where we don't need to actually question about their origins. Also, yes, Hulkenberg is here too. You don't look hurt though, so that's good news. You can move right. Yes, I can. I've read this dialogue a lot. I've had all my failed recordings of the first episode. So we didn't really explore around in this first segment of the desert because, to be perfectly honest, we're gonna get gated by either Gallica or the damn worms.
Watch out. Okay.
If we were to try to run around, we obviously can't really see anything that valuable. Otherwise, I would have pointed it out. So there's not really any reason of trying to loiter around here in the desert. And if you were to try and kill one of the one of the worms, you're very obviously not doing a lot of damage. Ouch! And you take half your health in terms of damage as well. Woo! Yeah, definitely do not want to be doing that. Now, because we are in New Game Plus, all of our items carry over. Will's bag is full. Unfortunately, due to my very minor OCD, all of the new tabs are also still available for us. Hate that. Alright, well, let's not dawdle much longer. Unfortunately, we can't equip any new items right now. That'll have to wait for a little bit. But what we can do is move up through this barrens here and get into an opening.
You know what they say. Anxiety breeds the world's cruelest monsters. I mean, fairies say that at least.
Ah, yes. You will never know how right you are, Gallica, except for another 100 hours. Yeah. Anxiety breeds the world's cruelest monsters. It is always nice to know that 90% of the music we hear in this game is Gallica just blasting music into our ears. Man, girl's got good taste.
Music was the first
Now, there's a few things to take note of here in the bigger opening of the Tradia Desert. First things first, if you look up into the sky and to the right, you will see Luis's Skyrunner. He is just sitting there waiting for the royal funeral to begin for him to make his grand entrance. He's literally posted up there just kind of hanging out. It's pretty funny, actually. We'll be going into detail about Luis later, as I have a lot of things I want to say about him. But for right now, we're going to be performing a speedrunning tactic that people use here in order to avoid going through most of the desert. If you just immediately hang a left, as soon as entering the Tradia Desert, eventually, as you hug past this rock formation,
That's not it.
Gallica's gonna make fun of you, and then the cutscene will trigger, pushing us into Grand Trad, making it to where we don't have to walk through most of the desert. Yeah, essentially there's just a lot of triggers based on the edge of the map, and so if you just hit one of the edges of the map, you just get the event trigger, which is pretty neat. I have that map on my wall. Alright, now we have arrived here in the royal capital of Grand Trad. Now there's a few key things I want to make mention here, as we have a lot of things we have to go over. First things first, I mentioned beforehand that Grand Trad's original name was going to be Sankt Amarat. Now that was all I mentioned, as something that I didn't mention was that Sankt Amarat's, well, title visual was also a placeholder for a potential 6th city. Now in our narrative, we go Grand Trad, Martira, or Brilehaven, Virga Island, Altabury, and then we go back to Grand Trad. Our second visit to Grand Trad, where we fight against Luis in the Skybound Avatar, is technically our 6th city, likely meaning that Sankt Amarat was a placeholder for a new city instead of Grand Trad. Maybe Grand Trad would have been transformed by Melancholia and would have been a very different vibe for a whole month, or maybe it would have been a placeholder for Moore's version of the modern-day Tokyo Crossing. I'm not entirely sure, but there was likely going to be a 6th brand new city instead of us sitting here in Grand Trad again. Now, as we can see, we have access to Sunlumio Street. Now, unfortunately, we can't ride on our sword, which kind of sucks. We can see some familiar faces, though they haven't met us before, like Brigitte here, who doesn't want to talk to us at all. Or we can go over here and talk to Katharina.
So you?
Nelda, huh? Pretty unusual in these parts. Oh, I'm not trying to be rude, just mind yourself, the city ain't the friendliest to us inferiors. Don't worry, Katharina, I have an important job for you in 4.5 months. Now, one thing I want to talk about that I've been holding off for a long time, this is one of the first things I researched about this project, was the Kingdom of Uchronia's flag. We can see here that there are multiple very interesting and eye-catching iconography to it, but it's generally taking the shape of a dragon. You see the dragon's head with the crown at the top left. We can see what looks to be its tail on the bottom right, and we can see little pitchforks pointing out of the bottom corners of the flag, which are likely supposed to be its feet. So the Kingdom of Uchronia's flag is almost certainly a dragon, which is very fitting because dragons are sort of the strongest manifestations of pure magla, so that makes entire sense. We can also know that a year later, once Will becomes king, that the flag does change, likely signifying that, 1, these flags are determined based on the current king who rules, so this is Hythlodaeus V's flag. And also, because Will is the Dragon Slayer King, especially if you do the side quests for the Trial of the Dragon, it also means that, well, there's a giant gaping hole in the bottom right of one of the flags, so him being the Dragon Slayer King and the dragon, well, not exactly being whole anymore, makes a lot of sense. There's a little bit more regarding these flags that I want to discuss, but we're going to be waiting just a little bit longer. Just know that these flags are gray, likely signifying the mourning period of the king. I know it's just a reused model, but it would have been really funny if there was a plot twist. Now, I'm not saying this would have been a good idea, but it would have been hilarious if it's just revealed that Luis accidentally grabbed this replica rather than the real Royal Scepter. I thought that would have been hilarious. That would make for a good, like, Metal 4 April Fool's update.
How much is it?
Well, I've always been told I'm pretty lucky.
I've always been pretty lucky.
I asked for your skills.
Luck is a skill, man. Come on. Now, first things first, before we do all the recruitment center stuff, I want to go ahead and show some unused visuals that were found in Meta 4's files whenever the game released. Here is some unused loading sprites that use the Kingdom of Uchronia's flag, though it's black and white. And then here's some images of Gallica in the loading screen. It's just some rough sketch work of what she probably could have done as some rare animations while you were in loading screens. I kind of wish they kept some of these since you see Gallica's loading animation a lot, but it's not the end of the world, especially if you have a fast-loading PC or console. Now you can grab our first gold beetle as soon as you enter the recruitment center. I obviously held off because there were so many things happening in the first episode that it would have been annoying to try and talk about that as well. I will not be grabbing every gold beetle again in New Game Plus. It's not going to be necessary unless you want another Dragon's Fall, I guess. But I'm not going to be worrying about that. This cutscene with the Prince and Will is definitely a little different with context now, because it's basically just the Prince talking to his OC, just imagining his imaginary friend sitting next to him. Which, I mean, honestly, most of us as kids probably had an imaginary friend we talked to, but it just makes this cutscene a little funnier in my personal opinion.
Didn't you?
But just as impactful.
Alive.
Now I want to briefly talk about the Northern Border Fort, as there's also unused information about this. Well, I guess not really information. Essentially, the Northern Border Fort had a different visual that was used for it whenever entering in this place. I'll show it on screen now. But that's really all there is about the Northern Border Fort. It was also utilized quite a bit in the original testing of models and animations for the game, as it was likely one of the first places they designed. Oh hey, we can already see the new flags! You can see up there in the top, they're red! So we can go ahead and talk about this. So, whenever the day of mourning passes and the royal funeral concludes, and we finish the whole first arc of the game, the Kingdom of Uchronia flags change to being red. So that means that the gray flags we are seeing is basically just kind of a mourning color for whenever a king or someone in the royal family passes away. Which I think is a really neat addition to detail. Attention to detail, not addition to detail. That was definitely intended, it was not a new addition. I really like that. Also, there's violence happening on the side of this gate. Are you ready, Stroll? Let's go. Now, thankfully, we don't have to worry about collecting any of these items or, honestly, fighting any of these guys, However, because we're on regicide mode, it would probably be best to fight these enemies. But I'm gonna be really, really funny and just run. Whee! We're just gonna get out of here. And of course, we're gonna get tutorials upon tutorials upon tutorials about how these things work. However, we can just walk right past them. Now the wolves also are very, very tanky. Just walk right past them and we'll be okay. Being level 1 on regicide shouldn't be that bad. Right. Besides, people always tell me I'm pretty lucky. Maybe we'll just dodge tank everything. Now, if you're curious, it is not possible to finish this boss fight normally. Even if you were to use some items to try and kill this boss, you're just not gonna have enough resources. But, and also, well, because you're doing fixed damage. If you're curious, if you were to hack the game and force this fight to conclude, it doesn't really change much. You can't actually kill this boss and progress further. It is impossible to do this. It is a scripted event. It's best just to guard and just let things happen. Now that we actually get our cool-ass hat and we can actually fight back, we have access to our actions. Now, because the Seeker is maxed out, we have access to Cyclo, meaning we can do some pretty good damage. Wing Beat is gonna hurt us a little bit, but thankfully our resistances make it to where we don't have to worry about that too much. Hey, there's our dodge, nice. We do get to keep our innate boosts thanks to our New Game Plus items, so we're not too worried about that. Because I don't want to have to waste my time doing AoE, doing single target moves, let's just see if we can't find ourselves a Sylph's Breath to do 200 damage to all enemies with wind attacks. And that will just wipe out Homolgaleo right there. Look at this imposing cutscene of Luis. Huh. I wonder what who these individuals in the background are. What's up, Leonardo's Vitruvian man? What's going on? Long time no see. Hello, father dearest, and the family cat. Now, something I want to go ahead and make mention of regarding Grius. There is a huge list of unused party members that were in some way playable in the game's files, except for one. And also there's a large list of unused followers. I will be going into detail about each of these characters as we get to them, but I want to go ahead and mention that Grius is on neither list. He is a playable character in the game, but he doesn't have any extra data tied to it. And he never had a scrapped follower rank, meaning that from the very beginning of development, he has always been intended to die where he dies. Poor Grius. Now, what I will say is that if you hack your game and move him past the point of where he's supposed to die, he does have some dialogue for unlocking certain archetypes. I'm assuming this is primarily to avoid crashing the game if someone were to have a way to get Grius past his death check, or if it was mostly used likely for debugging. So there is dialogue for him unlocking other archetypes. However, again, it was either because these archetypes were going to be unlocked earlier, or it was just a means of ensuring that if QA testers did find this, they could be reported, and they could be reported to the debuggers, and they could fix it. So yeah, unfortunately for you, Grius, your fate is kind of sealed. It's kind of weird saying all this right in front of his face. Yeah, man, you're gonna die. Anyways, let's move forward. And now we've got the warrior archetype available to us. Kind of a middling archetype, to be perfectly honest, but hey, Slicer's gonna come in handy. Well, maybe. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the synthesis skills here, so I guess we could try and Slicer one of these enemies, and maybe RNG kill them? Perfect, that worked out just fine. We can Cyclo the other guy, and if, no, Grius, come on, Grius, that is both times you have missed. Bastard. I could have probably had a pretty good run of this fight if that didn't happen. Unfortunately, one of the other adjustments of Regicide is if you push L3, there's no retry button. You cannot retry encounters on Regicide. You kind of have to make with what you got.
Let's stay calm.
Now, Captain Klinger here, if we just spam Cyclo, we should be doing some pretty good damage. Unfortunately, ooh, we got a crit. Okay, he's making up for this. We obviously can't control Grius. We just have to hope that he does well. Hopefully Captain Klinger dies pretty fast. He's going for, I think that's Grius. No, he's going for Will, and we got the dodge, because people always say I'm pretty lucky. Let's do Cyclo. Grius, do not biff this here. Okay, good. Diagonal Slash will wrap this up real fast, though. As you unlock each archetype for Will and every other character, whatever level they were whenever you did unlock them, they will be here in New Game Plus. However, of course, you have to shake hands very hard with these guys in order to get your archetypes back. So you can't start the game with the end game loadout that we had in terms of archetypes. You're gonna have to work your way back up. Now, Grius is a special case. We have to go through the unlocking archetype tutorial with him, and as you can see, Will and Stroll have already mastered our 3 current archetypes. Grius has to unlock them. Now, last time we gave him the Mage archetype. If we were to give him the Mage archetype again, he would be at level 1 because he has to unlock it once more. And as you can see, it cost 1,000 mag to unlock this. That was not the case back then.
Of course.
Not by a long shot. Mag costs to unlock archetypes is tripled here. That's why I made mention that if you were doing that endgame grind in the Tyrant Star and you were interested in doing New Game Plus for any real reason, be sure to at least unlock all of the archetypes, even if you weren't interested in leveling them up. Of course, then we get our force changed equipment here. We're going to be adjusting that around because I do not want Grease to be hugging all of that cool gear we've got. Now, there are a few items that don't carry over into New Game Plus. The most important one, in my personal opinion, being that of the Dragon's Legacy. We have to go through the Trial of the Dragon again in order to get access to that weapon. So, being perfectly honest, there's really no benefit to wearing that weapon once you get it this time around, as you'll have access to the King's Sovereignty, which is easily a lot better of a weapon. I love being level, I think, 5 and having 51 magic with the Narcissus Brooch, Yggdrasil Staff, Cardinal Dragon Raiment, and Divine Light Gloves, just absolutely boosting the crap out of my stats. Same thing with, like, Stroll. Gotta love the 32 Strength and 26 Endurance, and that's even without equipping an accessory. Let's see here. With the Herald's Banner, we'll be doing a good amount of damage. We're gonna keep Grius on Mage. I guess technically we could give him a Hero's Leaf of Light just to hyper boost the Mage archetype, give him Blizz, as we're gonna need that at least for the Dragon coming up. Now there's one bonus thing here in New Game Plus, and that is the Book of Apocalypse.
What's this?
What's with this ominous red book? That tome is known as the Book of Apocalypse. It is ancient beyond words, and its text comprises pages upon pages of terrifyingly powerful spells. Even the act of reading it would be singularly dangerous. A danger beyond anything I know lurks within. If you truly want to read it, I suggest you prepare for the worst. Well, I mean, it can't be that bad. I mean, we've got all of our cool stuff, so I mean, what can really be what happens? Let's read the book. I suppose I'll read it. There's a presence flooding my mind. Just the thought of opening the book. It's in my head! Will! Uh-oh. Mother! What's happening? This is Red Scale Apocalypse Dragon. With the Chronicle of the End, in New Game Plus, you have access to a new super boss. This boss cannot be fought in the easiest difficulty of Storyteller. You have to be on a higher difficulty to fight this guy. But I mean, we've got all cool shit, right? We'll be fine, right? Blizz! 87. Oh. I was kind of hoping that'd be a lot cooler. Diagonal Slash? 98. Grius? Blizzard again, maybe? 20. Oh god. Ill Wind, huh?
Everyone.
Yeah, I think we'll be coming back to this guy later. Now, if you're curious, yes, it is possible to beat this guy right now, though probably not in a first New Game Plus run. If you were to make 99, well, you probably don't need to make that many, but if you were to make a crap ton of Sublime Spoonfuls, you could essentially just make it to where you have infinite turns, and you can just kill him outright normally. I will not be doing that. Besides, I only have 2 Sublime Spoonfuls. So, yeah, we're just going to be holding off on that guy for a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a long time. Alright, well, let's just keep transitioning into this next dungeon. And look at the cool weapons we've got. It would be so annoying to carry a staff around like that, but at least Stroll's got a cool-ass sword. Now, because our overworld damage, now if we were to look at this level 4, we would not be able to kill this guy in the overworld under normal circumstances.
There they are.
Because overworld damage is scaled based off of your weapon damage, your current level, and the enemy's defenses, with a 500 power weapon, we are definitely able to kill this guy in the overworld without much issue. Now, what this means is it's a bit of a double-edged sword, especially here on Regicide. One, you can kill a bunch of enemies that you wouldn't be able to originally in the overworld, meaning that you don't have to worry about their whole antics and everything in combat, speeding up dungeon crawling a little bit. Now, what this also means is that you're going to be getting less EXP as you traverse dungeons if you're just fighting them in the overworld, which means less level ups, which could mean for a harder experience in Regicide overall. Now, in some ways, this could not be that bad for you. If you're interested in getting a really difficult experience, you could just do this. And the benefit of us having all of our gear and equipment means that we're probably not going to be worrying about our experience all that much. I mean, literally, we just did 1,500 damage to this guy, and again, we're on Regicide. Now, also, our weakness damage just does a lot more, because of how Regicide works, the double-edged sword aspect of it all. But it is something to keep in mind if you are worried about that. There might be situations where it might just be best to begin a squad battle with enemies that you know you can kill in the overworld just so you can get more EXP. I'm not going to be worrying about that too much since we have all of our extra gear, and of course there are places to level grind if you're desperately worrying about that, but ideally we don't need to worry about that for a long time, if at all. Besides, we'll have Peerless Stonecleaver and Utilitarian's manuals if we're desperate for a kill. Okay, I see something behind me. I see something on the minimap that I don't like. Let's just walk over here and go through this crawl space, please. And we can begin a squad battle.
Fine one.
Everyone, go!
Yeah, this is a Sandworm Volmo. What do you mean the music's different? No, it's not. Anyways, so how else to go ahead and deal with this guy in a pretty normal way, all right? Swap over to Yunar Kami right over here and do a diagonal slash. Nice. Man, I always wanted Makoto Yuki and Yunar Kami to fight together along with Grius. Now my fantasies can become true. Luck is on our side that we've caught it slumbering like this. We can slip past it and continue forward. Dragons are ancient and strong Magla follows in their wake. Yeah, I wonder why. I've been told by many people that I am actually quite lucky. So let's just test our mettle, shall we? And there's no real problem. Obviously, we can go ahead and grab ourselves another one of the dragon swords, giving us Dragon's Indignation. A pretty decent weapon. Unfortunately, as much as I like to hype up the sword, we didn't actually use it very much in our playthrough because I just immediately pivoted over to Brawler. Trust me, the sword is very valuable, especially for the first dungeon. Just that Brawler is able to hit most of the weaknesses of the skeletons in the Granite Cathedral, so I didn't really see much of a reason to use the warrior all that much. But it is useful if you actually want to try and use that archetype. Hey, it's Hulkenberg with shorter hair. Interesting thing about this Hulkenberg, this was the first character we ever saw for Metaphor Fantazio. Back in 2017, when they announced Project Refantasy: A Fool's Journey Begins, they had this artwork shown right here on screen. This is a young Hulkenberg. Most of us assumed that this was probably going to be a main character or the main character of Project Refantasy, or if it was just a really cool piece of artwork. Either way, it was neat to see that it was Hulkenberg. I'm kind of sad that we don't get a costume of this version of Hulkenberg, but I can kind of understand why they don't have it. Now, regarding the Hushed Honeybee Inn, our first time visiting this, there is some unused dialogue regarding Grius and Stroll talking about Fabienne, which I'll play for you right now.
You're hiding something, aren't you? I saw it in your eyes when you met Fabienne. I know tension when I see it, boy. Out with it! What do you know about this inn's circumstances?
What? Nothing. I mean, it's just, she's, you know, I'm not trying to hide anything. I just don't want to embarrass myself.
Huh? Oh. So that's it, eh? All bluster and nobility in battle, but one pretty lady, and you turn to mush. Say no more, lad. Say no more.
Oh, shut it. So, what's all this about circumstances?
It's very nice. I was tempted to talk about this whenever we were first visiting here, but I decided against it because the events were a little serious, and I feel like I had the same idea the developers had, where making this kind of light joke probably just didn't fit the vibe of the art of the events right now, because, well, we were about to go and assassinate a guy during a funeral. Probably not the best to be talking about Stroll having the hots for Fabienne, but it is. There's a lot of this kind of cut dialogue where they removed a lot of aspects of Stroll being made fun of by a lot of people for being bad at talking with women or talking about women. Not in a way that he's misogynistic or anything, but that he's still a growing boy despite being in his 20s, and people like to make fun of him for blushing at girls or not taking cues seriously. I'm glad they kind of removed a lot of that. I like Stroll being kind of our serious straight man that keeps everyone on the straight and narrow. Something I find really funny, make sure to equip Mirror of Asayas if you have 2 of them in your inventory before you go into the royal funeral. I think this would be really funny. Also, before we go to the royal funeral, we can go in here and talk to Moore about some of his quests.
This one's important.
If we will have the healer leveled up already to rank 10, we can just finish it immediately. Leave it to me. And then a new cutscene will forcibly begin with us finishing the quest.
Incredible.
Getting us our benefits of being able to access Academia's Archetype menu from anywhere immediately, which is very good to have. Also, yes, our royal virtues do get to stay here, meaning we have a lot of extra free time because we don't have to spend time leveling up our royal virtues. Meaning we're going to be able to see a lot of extra stuff that we couldn't see in the original run.
See how he has rewarded your loyalty.
This is bullshit! I gave him the Mirror of Messiah that repels physical attacks! Damn it. Well, I gave you a shot, Grius, and you didn't take it. So normally this battle right here is supposed to be our tutorial for anxiety, and these guys are supposed to hit us. Now, if you were to have Mirror of Messiahs, they still go through you. So yeah, this is entirely a scripted segment with anxiety. The benefit is, at the very least, they start working here. So, the anxiety tutorial is forced, and we can just regularly start attacking these guys, but unfortunately, we have to do everything else normal, so... Alright, well, because you failed me, Grius, let's go ahead and just put you down, buddy. Ow! Never mind, he's gonna dodge tank me. Alright. Now, before we go into the catacombs, I want to go ahead and address the, well, elephant in the room that's happened a little bit here. If you have purchased the costume DLC on Metaphori Fantazio, you will get access to a new equipment type, clothes. Now, we have access to our touring ensemble, which is your standard outfit, but we also have access to various outfits from different Atlas titles. St. Hermelin High School uniform is from Persona 1. Seven Sisters High School uniform will make you look like you're a character from Persona 2. Gekogan High School uniform is Persona 3. Yasogami High School uniform is Persona 4. Shujin Academy uniform is Persona 5. The Samurai Guard is Shin Megami Tensei 4 Samurai attire. The Joyen High School uniform is the Shin Megami Tensei 5 high school outfit. And the hero attire is various outfits from the Etrian Odyssey series. These are designs that you can get and you can have your party wear. I will be shifting around Will's outfit the most, as depending on the outfit you are wearing, your advantage song will be that of that various game, based on the outfit you're wearing. Everyone else will be usually wearing one attire. Stroll will be wearing the Yasogami High School uniform, as with this equipped and his gray hair, he definitely looks like Yu Narukami, the protagonist of Persona 4. And Hulkenberg will be wearing the Shujin Academy uniform because it's about as close to Kasumi as we're gonna get, though might be something that I shift around maybe to the samurai garb or something later. I don't really think a schoolgirl outfit suits Hulkenberg very well, but that'll be what we go with right now. Unfortunately, we can't really swap Gallica's around. She's stuck with the Blossom garment. I think it would have been nice if we could swap her stuff around too. Right now, we will be going with the Gekogan High School uniform for Will, because with the blue hair, he looks a lot like both Makoto Yuki and Aigis, thanks to the little headband he also wears. And I also like mass destruction, so it's a win-win here. Alright, well, we found Katharina's friend. And here I want to go ahead and talk about some updates to bonds. Because there is some old footage of a older version of the Bond rank up animation that I want to go ahead and play right now as we're hanging out with Katharina, as I do think it's pretty interesting. I am a little sad that we lost some of the cool visual style of the old Bond, but I kind of get why they altered things. And the version that we got is pretty okay as it is. I think it'd be pretty funny if Hulkenberg is the one that's just throwing hands, so we'll go ahead and have her as our brawler for this dungeon run. I think that'll be kind of silly. I want to go ahead and quell something that, I want to go ahead and quell a rumor that was being spread around the game whenever it was released. Because despite the fact that Hulkenberg's younger version, when she was a Royal Knight, is around on a lot of the artwork, of the old artwork for Project Brief Fantasy, which is what eventually turned into Metaphor's Fantazio, I do see a lot of rumors going around that Will replaced Hulkenberg as the protagonist of Metaphor, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, with that being said, Will did go through a few transitions in the development period for sure. And there are some design alterations, like him having a cape or scarf, that you can see right here. But that's really about it when it comes to discussing Will and the whole protagonist debacle. No, it was... Now, one thing I will mention is that whenever we saw the first trailer for Metaphor, I actually thought the concept art shown was of Gallica, not Hulkenberg. My colorblind ass couldn't tell the hair apart. But because Gallica has that helmet on, and she has similar hair, kind of, I thought it was actually concept art of Gallica. That was not the case. The ears did not match, and that was something that quickly turned me away from that prospect. As you can see here, in the Scepter Chamber, we can see, again, more king statues. There's I'm assuming this is probably the Mage King, if I had to guess, either that or the Healer King. You are perhaps the Thief King, maybe? Or maybe, no, you're probably the Berserker King, if I had to guess. That is probably the Healer King, let's be honest. You are almost certainly either the Night King or, yeah, probably the Night King. Warrior King, almost certainly. And what would you be, Summoner King, potentially? I don't know. That's just my guesses. Obviously, we can't interact with them. There's no plaques or anything. But that's just my guess. Anyways, let's go take down Zorba before he can pull our strings! Terrible impression, but I do my best. Alright, here we go, Zorba. One thing I am sad about the costumes is that we don't get, like, Master of Shadow playing during bosses. We still have to use the regular Metaphor boss theme. And I mean, that's not the biggest problem. I like the boss theme. But I do kind of wish I could listen to, like, Master of Shadow, or I'll Face Myself, or Blooming Villain. But it's not the end of the world. Okay, he said one line? And then zombies just, ooh, a dodge! We actually can get Unscathed Triumph on this. Nice! We kill the Corpse Thrall, or don't. That's fine too.
Impossible! This can't be happening!
Of course, even in New Game Plus, with all of our cool items, Will is still missing almost all of his hits. Wonderful. Some things never change. Once Homo Vadis gets back up, they're obviously going to regrow their shield as well. The shell, not shield. I guess this is kind of a shield, but it's naturally part of their body, so I don't really think that would count as a shield, but that's okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and attack the heart again. Now, we saw this let's do Cyclo against the hearts. And then what I'm gonna do is use an item. Let's say Demonic Icicle. By killing the heart while it's still upright, the death animation for Homo Vadis has the humans walking around on his helmet still just moving, which I find really funny. I guess they're not all humans, there's also demons and birds, but I find it funny that they still walk around. Now, as a reminder, I will not be doing every single side quest again, because that would be madness, and I'm pretty metaphored out after we're done with this. So we're gonna be going ahead and tackling the major ones, the ones that will give us access to bonds, so we can hang out with them again and also get access to more archetypes. So first things first, we're gonna be talking to Brigitte. And thanks to our maxed out royal virtues, we will have no issue getting off. Thanks to our royal virtues being maxed out, we will have no problem getting the ability to do all of these quests and continuing bonds. Obviously, your answers don't really matter all that much, so we can just keep moving forward. Belega Corridor, a dungeon that I know all too well. As I've said many a time, this will be the last time we visit this for this whole project, so it's a little unfortunate, but also thank God. Merchant, 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 merchant! I feel like Brigida would probably beat the crap out of me if I ran to or glided to her like that. Do not talk to me anymore. Congratulations, everyone. We've beaten the game. Yippee! Next, I want to talk about Stroll a little bit. Now, before we go into his bond ranks, I want to talk about him as a character as he's gone through development, because as you might have spied as I was showcasing some of the images for previous dungeons, Stroll actually had a major outfit adjustment. He was originally going to have a blue striped coat rather than a more beige or yellow colored one. I think this was a very, very good change. Will already has blue hair, and so he kind of has that blue colored covered. That was a mouthful. So switching him over to this yellow outfit gives him a little bit more of a identity when it comes to the colors of each main character. Now, in other older footage, we can see that there are Stroll was kind of the main character used for replacements to fill in party member slots, where they would have recolored versions of him to kind of fill in the empty area to make it look as accurate as possible to what the final version might actually look like as your party members are traveling with you. So you can even see a green Stroll here in this one image. Other than that, Stroll's face and overall design and personality did not go through many changes as far as we know and as far as I can research into the game's development history. It's really just his outfit that altered significantly. Now that's really all I have for Stroll, so I guess we'll just go ahead and hang out with him for a little bit, and then we'll be moving on to our next topic. The next thing on our list is to go and deal with the Tradia Desert Recruitment Center bounty, as I want to go ahead and take down the enemy in here. Because there is something that I purposely left out of my series previously in this area. But in order to see it, we need to take care of the bounty first. So let's go ahead and deal with that. Oh boy, big scary chimera. Here's money! Oh, it didn't even crit. Damn. Oh well, ice damage. Alright, it was alright. It was okay. It was okay. It's fine, it's fine. A little peeved, but it's okay. It's what it is, what it is. After turning in our bounty, we get the 10,000 Reeve, which is pretty nice. But let's say we go back out to the Tradia Deserts. What exactly awaits us? Why am I making such a big deal about this? Well, if you were to go back into the Tradia Desert after completing the bounty, you can find a new monster out here that hasn't gotten a bounty and never will. This Caucasados that's just kind of running around the desert is not there originally, and it's, as you can see, really fast. If we get its attention and use Face Sight, we can see that it is a very strong monster. How strong, you ask? Well, if we can get closer to it, we can see exactly what we're dealing with. A level 46 Caucasados is just hanging out here in the desert. Ah! And of course I get hit by it because I'm in animation lock. Level 46 Caucasados is obviously going to be kind of a problem. Ow! Come on, just one hit. Wait for it to wind up. One more hit. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay. Now that we've begun a squad battle against this thing, which has been most of the fight, we can go ahead and start fighting this guy. Use gold attack to deal decent damage. Our main goal here is to attack it with those crits, and with Hulkenberg, we're gonna use something we probably shouldn't be, but that's okay. We're gonna be utilizing our Amber Stew to boost our attack power. And then we're gonna gamble on potentially getting a crit. We did not get a crit. That's okay, we get one more free turn. Let's go ahead and use gold attack here. 774. Not great. We can at least get a hit here. 410. Gold attack. Gold attack again. And take it down.
Looks like that's all of them. Great job.
Obviously, well, I mean, there's really no reason to be doing this, but if you want to take down the level 46 Kakasados before you're able to, yippee! I wasted so much time doing that. There he is! That's my boy right there! That's my boy! Juna's okay too, but that's my boy right there! Okay, never mind, he's gone now. Alright, on the road again, aren't we? It is kind of funny how at the very end of the game, they're off on another adventure to scope out the land, and here I am, off on another adventure. We're gonna go scope out the land to go and find Haizme's head. Traditionally on the Gauntlet Runner, we only have the Gauntlet Runner itself as the mini-map. But in development, there was a point in time where they were testing out potentially having the journey you were taking be on the mini-map, and as you get closer to destination, potentially having the time of day alter. That is a feature that I feel like would be really, really, really cool, but I'm almost certain they dropped it, either because that was just supposed to be a test and was never intended to be the final version, or because it was just a lot of work to keep that day-night cycle moving as you go to each location. Your point A to point B alters depending on where you are at what given time, and so it would be a lot of extra work to adjust a day-night cycle and the minimap points based on exactly where you are headed. It would be a lot of extra work. So if that was something they were planning on doing, I can understand why they dropped it. Regarding cooking, whenever we get access to that immediately here in the Gauntlet Runner, we will only have access to any of the recipes that we get when we first unlock the kitchen, and of course the Sublime Spoonful, since we obtained this recipe at the very end of our original run. Everything else we'll have to obtain normally. So that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Because all of our royal virtues are maxed out, we could prioritize on bonds, but realistically speaking, you're going to be spending a lot of your time here just farming the laundry and cleaning house. I would suggest going ahead and cleaning the Gauntlet Runner so you can get access to more of those rat's tails, especially if you want more Sublime Spoonfuls. It'd probably be worth it. Here we are in Martira. I'm gonna go ahead and show on screen Martira's old name. It was originally going to have a Y in its name. It's gonna be Martyra instead of having an I. So, I think that's pretty neat. Before we head to the Sand Flash, I want to go ahead and talk about a gameplay feature that I completely ignored. On purpose, mind you. Yeah, there is a gameplay feature in Metaphor that I purposely left out of the playthrough that I did not mention at all. And that would be Traveler's Voices. Since I'm on PlayStation 5 controller, if I push the middle button and I'm connected to the internet, I can see what other players have been doing with their free time. You can see that 68% of people spent time with Hulkenberg, or someone else who's definitely not Haizme, spent time with Stroll. 11% of people went and did stuff on the runner. They went and fought Goddard, who is on the way to the abandoned tomb, or they did some weapon maintenance. You can see what other people have done. You can even see kind of the average level of players. Now, you can see that this is all people who have completed the game and are on Regicide difficulty. You can see on the top right of all of their save files, a star next to their file, which means they've beaten the game at least once, and they are on the Regicide difficulty. If you're on other difficulties, you'll be able to see people who are relatively your level and are at your point in the game. This is a decent feature. I don't really tend to use these online features in games since it's in Persona 5 and in Persona 3 Reload. I don't tend to use them very much, especially if you play whenever the game first comes out. It's all over the place, and it's usually supposed to act as sort of a guide to see what the majority of other players might be using their time for. And it's fine. If you want to play this way, if you want to play in a way where you don't use an actual walkthrough, but you still want some kind of loose guidance, you could use this. But it wasn't really all that necessary, and so I didn't feel like it was important to make mention of. So, there it is, though, at least. Anyways, I'm going to be going and dealing with side quests because we have archetypes to unlock. So, I'll see you in just a moment.
That worked out.
This battle's out. Keep it money, let's go.
Quick, everyone, go!
You're here?
Will wears that Seven Sisters uniform well, man. Also, Persona 2's main battle theme is an underrated gem, I'll be perfectly honest.
Let's keep this up.
Keep
it up. I shall vanquish evil. Two remaining.
I stand ready. Come through.
Come.
I'll destroy. Stay focused.
Good forward. Yeah. Good.
What a finale!
Badass track.
Yes, everyone.
Before we head to the giant sandworm's nest, I want to go ahead and point out that at some point in development, whether it was used as a placeholder or if it was intended to be a primary feature, at some point in development, instead of having the standard time marches on and the age of a new king draws nearer with the cursed prince as our way of passing from one day to another, it was originally, at least at some point, was going to have the days pass by with the map of the United Kingdom of Draconia as the backdrop. I'll show an image on screen here if I haven't already. I think this is pretty nice. I kind of wish that there was a bit of a hybrid, where if we were saying in towns, we would get the image of the prince, or if it was during major story beats where it passed from one day to another, we would see images of the prince. And while we were on the road on the runner, we would get images, we would get where we were on the map as kind of as kind of like a progress check. I don't know exactly how that would have worked, but I think it's neat. Anyways, let's go deal with this damn worm.
You would pursue.
Roast Peripus! Get your Roast Peripus here! Alright, I actually gave her a chance to survive one. Now, Cyclone! Alright, hopefully Batera doesn't give me too much trouble. 900 damage right there, gold attack, and he's done. Nice. Which means we totally kill him this time, right? Instead of him just eating us?
It went underground.
Alright. Oh, no matter how much damage you do to this damn guy, you're still gonna get bored. Thankfully, since I am not trying to worry about showcasing everything, I can take the easy path every time.
Right then, let's get this plan underway.
I should probably shout something too.
Galaga, please be nicer to me.
Hey! I'm your fairy guide, not your fairy godmother. We're on a mission here.
I love the dialogue here. Anyways, gold attack. Now that we've unlocked the Kragenta Castle dungeon, at this point in time, I want to make mention that I would suggest prioritizing Maria's bond over all else, especially if you're on New Game Plus Regicide and you want to take on some of the hardest challenges that are unique to, well, the hardest challenge is unique to this mode, and Luis's most difficult form. So, get Maria to as high of a rank as you can as soon as possible. That way you can get the EXP bonuses and the extra cooking bonuses. So we're going to be spending a lot of time with her really early on. Thankfully, she's also one of the followers that can max out her bond as soon as possible. She's really easy to max out, actually. I think the samurai garb fits Haizme pretty well. Good old Shin Megami Tensei 4 representation. Yeah, look at that. He wears that very, very well. Alright, in we go. Yippee, it's my sleep paralysis demon, come to haunt me again. We will be seeing you in action in just a little bit, baby. Don't you worry. Now that we have the demon baby here, patrolling the sewers, I mentioned that you can actually fight the baby, the demon baby, here right now in the sewers, but I highly advised against it. Well, I'm going to be showing you exactly why. Let's go ahead and provoke this guy. Drat, it spotted us, lad! Okay, now we're obviously fighting question mark, question mark, question mark. If we were to try and defeat this guy, let's use Meteor 4, do not that much damage, let's be perfectly honest. Well, I guess rule number 1, it is very, very, very tanky. Even with the damage downs that we have, because we're much lower level than this guy is, it's still not, we're still not going to be dealing that much damage. I don't think I have anything very valuable, so let's just do a Tinned Torpor to lower its attack power. I have 3 mages and a merchant, so this is definitely not the greatest composition for this, but it'll work, probably. Shadow Shockwave. Thankfully we can repel that with our Mirror of Atzilith, I believe, or Mirror of Asaya. I forget which one. I think it's the Asaya. If we just decide to just keep poking the boss, with Will, Gold Attack should do a lot of crit damage. Perfect. Let's keep spamming fire attacks. Should technically be a bit stronger. And then with Will, do another Gold Attack. 1100 damage. Was kind of hoping for a crit, especially with the Gambler's Manual. Focused aim here. The boss has a more HP in this form than it does in its actual boss fights later on at the end of the Gigantic Castle. And as we will see in just a moment, if I can deal enough damage, let's check and see what the rewards are.
We did it!
The Eerie Presence just fades away and walks away, and you only get 575 EXP, 288 AEXP, 500 mag, and 1500 money, maybe a health incense. These rewards are shit. I will not sugarcoat it. This is terrible. This is a terrible, 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 terrible reward. Yes, you shouldn't be caught, and it realistically is a situation where if you are caught, you should just be getting game overed anyways. And if you barely win, you're using up all of your resources, and you're basically forced to run away anyways. I don't like the fact that even if you, by some miracle, are able to win this encounter, you were given terrible rewards. Realistically speaking, in my personal opinion, you should get at least the same amount of rewards that you would if you had beaten the boss as you would at the very end of the game, end of the dungeon. Honestly speaking, I think you should get more because technically that boss is harder than the true version of it. So, I don't know, I don't like it. I really, really do not like what they did with that. It already is a punishment because you're likely going to die. It's just a big kick in the face for those who actually want to go out of the way to do a real challenge. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that though. And even if you beat the baby on the first round, if during the second round of surveillance, he's still here. So I guess technically you could fight him again to get rid of his surveillance, but it's just not worth it at all. Pew, pew, pew! Alright, we did get through it last time. I'm sure we can do it again. That's new dialogue if you had beaten the baby beforehand. Now we have a thief and 2 gunners, and thanks to Utilitarian's Manual, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. We just start spamming Mania Bullet. 1. And then 2. And then we pass turn, kinda. I mean, I guess we could hit them. I think what I'd rather do is use the large amount of corrosive assets we've gotten. And then we pass turn and do a 3. And then we do a 4. And then, I mean, obviously we can look at the boss. They have 1 HP. Even if you were to try and finish it, they just stick at 1 HP. Because, as we all know, she healed the demon baby! And Deafening Din, okay, well that's just AoE damage. Ooh, we got dodge though. Unfortunately, if we want to get an Unscathed Triumph, we kind of just gotta hope that he either doesn't do Deafening Din there, or we've just gotta hope that potentially we just dodge, but it's still pretty annoying. Also, we have to reapply this. Mania Bullet! And then, Mania Bullet! And he dies. See you at the very end of the game, Jaluzo. Actually, no, not actually. This is our last time fighting Homo Jaluzo. I will not be fighting Homo Jaluzo in the Tyrant Star, so... Whew, we're done with this damn demon baby. You know the 100,000 Reeve that we would have gotten as a reward for capturing Heisme? Well, honestly speaking, I don't think we really need it looking at my coffers right now. So it does feel a little, more... I was gonna say like Nepo baby, but it just seems a little bit more pretentious to say, nah, I don't need 100,000 Reeve, you can keep it. Instead of, it doesn't feel nearly as powerful in New Game Plus because I'm already a goddamn millionaire. Anyways, we're gonna be spending the rest of our time here in Martira just basically raising Maria's follower and doing a few other small things, but really that's all I've got for this section. Actually, that's not entirely true. This doesn't really pertain much to the Martira segment. It's more just Metaphor Fantazio as a whole. But in the game's files, there is an indicator for Nintendo Switch button combinations for the UI. Now, obviously, this is used for if you are connecting a Nintendo Switch controller to the Steam version of the game. You can obviously still use it. However, this does lead to the idea that sometime in the future, honestly, I have a feeling this video might be outdated within a couple of days of it being released. But sometime in the future, there might be a Metaphor Fantazio Switch 2 port announced and released that'll have this UI in it. Just a fun little factoid, I guess. Now, something I never did show in our initial run, because I always prioritize debating with candidates for the 100% trophy, you actually can go and speak to the people without needing to have a candidate to debate with. So, for example, we can just get up here and make a speech. It'll increase our eloquence. You can get enough eloquence from just debating your fellow candidates, so I didn't really see a point into wasting my evenings doing standard debates with just myself and the audience, but you can do it if you want to. Now that we're on the road again, about to go to Port Brilehaven, as you can see here on the map, with this little transition where you see each fireplace cutting into view as the camera moves south towards Port Brilehaven. Well, we actually know what that was inspired by, kind of. We can see that early in development, there was a mock-up made of this sort of map transition utilizing images from Google Maps of various real-world locations, which I think is very creative as a way of sort of indicating to the game designers how exactly you want this sort of movement to work. I think it's really cool, and it was one of the funniest things I found while looking through the files for the game. Off we go to Port Brilehaven. It's gonna be a bit of a trip, but thankfully we shouldn't need to worry about it too much. So, something that we've got access to now that we're heading to Brilehaven that I never used at all in our original run was the Plant Culture Chamber. I did talk about this when we first got access to it originally and said, it's not really worth your time doing, but since we have so much more free time, might as well go ahead and check it out. It's the plant growing device Nerys invented. I should be able to plant something here. Next to the device, there are some seeds. If I plant these, maybe they'll grow. You get Hero's Fruit Seed immediately, which we've gotten already before. However, because we've beaten the game before, we have also access to Hero's Leaf of Light seeds. We only have just a couple of seeds, but why not? Let's go ahead and plant a Hero's Leaf of Light seed. It does take time, however. Let's pop the Hero's Leaf of Light seed in there then. Remember to leave a bit of space in between the seeds. They need their space as they grow. I tended to the plants with warmth and care. You don't get any social stats for this either, so it's okay. Spend some time planting seeds with Gallica, and then you move on to the evening block. We've also now gained access to the Bath Cask, and while we have used this a little bit, we only used it once. We spent some time here. There are some very, very, very good benefits you can get from this. Funnily enough, the Prince's Serene Embrace, which is the Prince's bath water from our initial run through the game, honestly, this bath salt isn't all that great. And honestly, you're probably best using other things. If we check our bath salts, we can check the Prince's Serene Embrace, which will increase our MP by 2. You can get more from just doing laundry, so I think it would be better just to spend your time doing that instead if you want MP. Uncle Electro's Wonder Salts will give you Strength plus 2. Again, these are permanent upgrades during this run. Obviously, whenever you do New Game Plus or just New Game, your stats will go back to regular, so this is just for this run. Niflheim Plunge will increase your magic by 2. Not to be mistaken by MP, this will increase your magic stat by 2. And Fleeting Fountain of Youth will give you an agility plus 2 increase. Honestly speaking, I think we need to work on our agility. I'm going to use the Fleeting Fountain of Youth. A lot of our time while traveling on the runner, I'm going to be spending the evenings in the Bath Cask just to increase Will's base stats to see just how far I can get. I'm kind of interested. Obviously, I will not be sacrificing any time that we need to increase bonds, but I think it'll be fun just to do this. Interacting with the Plant Culture Chamber after planting some seeds. Wow, the Hero's Leaf of Light bore fruit! Hey, why don't we harvest it? Sure! We were able to harvest some great fruit. Give you some more seeds, let's sow them. We got 2 Heroes Leaf of Lights. And there's something else in the dirt. It's crazy this machine can make the soil fertile enough to grow these seeds in only a day. So, well, lots of things get attracted here, and sometimes things we didn't plant grow too. If you see something you can use, then I guess you should take it. We also got Gauntlet Shrooms. This is also a decent way of getting extra items that you might not be able to either in other ways. Primarily the Gauntlet Shrooms, because the only way to get Gauntlet Shrooms is either through the pantry randomly or through plant harvesting randomly. So, you know, there are some benefits, but again, it's not something I would highly recommend doing in your first run through, because while Metaphor is very generous in its calendar systems and trying to 100% everything in one go, it's not so generous that you can kind of just dilly-dally with that stuff. Anyways, let's keep raising our HP and try to get some more tail bait. It's roast platypus time once again! Roast platypus, bring out your roast platypus! And we've arrived in the greatest city in the game. It's nice to be back here, even if it's probably scorching hot and very humid. You know, I want to go ahead and mention something I find really funny about the Spider's Den here. We've made all of this fuss about how terrible of a place it would be to sleep. And, I mean, yeah, 100%. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible inn. I would not want to wish this on my worst enemy. However, fun fact, this is actually the speedrunner's best friend. Because you spend a lot of your time in the speedrun for Metaphor just sleeping, you kind of want to have an inn that's easily accessible, not only to get into, but then to just immediately sleep. And most of the other options throughout the game require a lot of running and a couple of load screens. Spider's Den, not so much. Very, very simple. This is the speedrunner's favorite inn, which, yeah, that's fair enough. So, I'll be perfectly honest, there really isn't a lot for me here to discuss about Brilehaven as we return to it. So instead, I want to talk about something, or rather someone, completely different. This is Yoko Taro. You might know him from Square Enix. He's led a couple of projects, that being stuff like Drakengard or the Nier franchise. And he's known for being, a little special.
うちの横尾さんは何ですか？
道端で拾ってきたアトラスの社員さんです。
We'll just leave it at that, yeah. Now, Metaphor and the Nier franchise do have a little bit of overlap in terms of development. One of the lead concept artists for Metaphor did a lot of the artwork for Nier Automata, as I've mentioned very early on in my series. So there is a little bit of overlap, and Yoko Taro is friends with some of the lead heads of Atlus. But what really surprised me was the fact that he was a pretty decent part of some of the late stages marketing for Metaphor, showing up in some of the YouTube videos and marketing projects that Atlus did for Metaphor, including this one right here. And oh my goodness, it's pretty funny. Watching him tie up some Atlus employees and force them to play the video game, or him being locked in a room and forced to play Metaphor because Atlus are meanies. I just really enjoy his style of humor, and while I have some interesting opinions about his games, overall, he does pretty good work, and it was nice to see this type of marketing. However, seeing him involved in any kind of project in any way made me very suspicious about how Metaphor was gonna go down. And despite him multiple times saying that he is not involved in this project whatsoever, I was not inclined to believe him. And throughout the entirety of this game's run, I was just waiting for something absolutely batshit insane to happen, and it be this guy's fault. In fact, even to the credits of the game, I was sitting there the entire time staring at the screen, being like, did this guy actually work on it? And no, he didn't.
今この場で
これは無料だから。
He was telling the absolute truth, and I just think it was really funny, and I'm glad that he was part of the marketing because it added a little bit of charm to the final few months of this game's waiting period, and yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about it because I thought this was really fun. I will have a link to the YouTube video of his primary marketing that he did for Metaphor in the description of the video if you want to check it out, and it's a lot of fun. Into Luis's Gauntlet Runner we go. Thankfully, because we're so stupidly strong in New Game Plus, this dungeon will go from being definitely the easiest one to absolutely the easiest one. And because we already know how everything works, it's gonna go from a dungeon that normally takes maybe about an hour at most to one that takes barely any time at all. So I'll see you at all the bosses. I feel like it's best to equip the Shujin Academy uniform for this, since this is probably the most Persona 5 we're gonna get in this game, but it's kind of surprising they didn't add the Phantom Thief attires as DLC for this game. Feels like that would be kind of obvious, honestly. Anyways, show me your true form! Sergeant Zant, normally you want to beat this guy just with ailments. However, because of our amazing attack, Skull Attack! Oh, no crit. That's actually not ideal. So, hey man, chill, right? Hey, dodge. Oh, well, there goes my unscathed triumph at the very least. If only Will could crit. Can you crit now? Nope. That's interesting. Well, I guess I'm gonna be dumping all of my bath salts into luck. Interesting. I was technically in front of him, but got the ambush anyways, and then his animation didn't play from getting hit in the neck.
Let's do it.
I must have just, like, I don't know about frame perfect, but that was pretty close. Since we're here in the Cradrius, I actually want to go ahead and talk about something that I knew about before the game came out, and was happy to see that it was followed up on. So, the Skyrunner Cradrius gets its name from Luis Cradrius, that's his full name. However, Cradrius is actually the name of a real-life bird. And I'll have an image of it on screen. Yeah, it's kind of this small little cute little guy, isn't it? Well, the Cradrius is a real bird. However, the Cradrius bird also could be a reference to the Caladrius, which is actually a mythical bird that has a few stories tied to it. The primary story that they likely use for the Caladrius is that of a bird that can identify and then heal the sick and wounded by drawing in the illness into themselves and then flying away. However, sometimes they might refuse to heal someone if they are too sick or injured. Now, this does play into the idea that Luis's family, whenever he was still living in the Elden Village, they were a family of doctors. So he was raised and surrounded by healers in his early life. By honoring his true name with the Caradrius as his Skyrunner, he's not only recognizing his Elda self, but he's also turning what is supposed to be a term and story fit for healers into one that is used for destruction, which is pretty fitting for Luis, if I do say so myself. Anyways, let's go ahead and keep going, and let's see if we can't finish up this dungeon. Also, funny little thing that I read in my notes, but didn't mention, is that there is also a certain myth regarding a Caladrius where they appear in front of sick kings, which I think is really funny, because literally the first scene we see in this game is Luis Caradrius appearing in front of not exactly sick, but a unwell king, and instead of healing him, he just kills him. Yeah, some doctor you are, Luis. So something I would suggest you do is, you don't have to go all the way to the final ranks, but I would suggest doing a little bit of the Colosseum, especially if you want this really, really good bath salt that increased all of our stats by 2. So, off we go. Aha! For completing the Bronze 1 competition, where you have to fight as Will alone, you'll be able to get the Rainbow Bath Blossom. This will raise all of your stats by 2 if you were to use it while taking a bath. I wanted to go ahead and get this before we set off for the road, because we have to go get Nurse's Relic, and go to the tower, and all that other stuff. But just wanted to make sure to have that. Okay. Big man. Yeah! Oh, right. I have the Shushin Academy outfit on. Well, that's a bit of a tonal whiplash, isn't it?
I shall vanquish
evil. Yeah, I don't know if Persona 5's soundtrack fits the vibe of mean, none of them really do, but that's just so much fun. Alright, now that we're done in that dungeon, we're gonna take the Rainbow Bath Blossom and give ourselves a crap ton of stat boosts. Give me everything. Strength, magic, endurance, agility, and luck. Max HP and max MP. Nice. There was one activity in Brilehaven that I never got around to showcasing because of just how I was pacing the run, but I deeply regretted not being able to show you. And that is this one right here. If we go up to the watchtower, the store's unlocked. I bet we can climb up from inside. Don't you think the view would be incredible from up there? If you gaze out at the people below and the ocean beyond, who knows what we'll discover? If I gaze out at the scenery from here, my wisdom should broaden. I feel confident in my wisdom, but yeah, maybe there's more to be gained. Trust me, Will, there is. Let's take in the scenery.
So,
It's settled in. Let's find a spot with a better view. Made it, and what a view it is. Just look at this.
oh yeah?
Brilehaven is so unusual, isn't it? And I don't mean just the open-minded culture. Those floating water spheres really make an impression. The seawater's not frozen up there, and it's not like it's in some kind of transparent container either. Apparently it has to do with the magma crystals on the seafloor. If you get too close, they can pull or push you in random directions. I'm only telling you what I've heard, so I couldn't say for certain, but doesn't it kind of make you want to touch them? I'd like to go inside, honestly. It'd be fun to go inside, I bet. Yeah, floating around in one of those does seem like it'd be pretty nice. If only there was a video game that made like a whole sport about that.
Maybe.
Oh, but I suppose you'd need to breathe, huh? You were stuck in there. Yikes. Alec and I had a good talk as we gazed out at the scenery. I feel like my wisdom has broadened.
Alright.
I just wanted to show off this site. It's one of my personal favorites. Okay, if you're still doing Coliseum stuff, you'll be running into this fight where you have to use 2 brawlers in order to beat down these Coliseum mages and fighters. Unironically, I think this is a pretty decent place to use one of our Sublime Spoonfuls. Now, make sure to have a Mirror of Etsulith so that this Coliseum fighter legitimately cannot do anything to you, and you'll be probably pretty okay. Let's use Crushing Fists. Punch him.
Time for some close.
Let's punch him again.
Their weakness.
And then I'm gonna back up and use a Medi on the party.
That helped.
Easy 200 HP heal. We'll just go ahead and follow this up with another Crushing Fist. I probably could have taken down the mage, but because we don't have any magic affinities to worry about, I'm not worrying about that damage at all. Mage Icicle is just gonna repel right off us. We're doing just fine. Rush back up. Let's do Crushing Fist on the mage. Back up Will, and let's start doing some cycloning. 410. Top up HP. And it should be smooth sailing from here. Icy Impact is just going to go right off of us. We're just going to Cyclone again. And from here, we can just start throwing items too. Let's just, actually, let's just use more of our Corrosive Acid to lower his defense. Because the reflection damage will also just go right off. There we go, now he's doing regular attacks. Congratulations, you figured it out. A little late, but you figured it out. Time for one of the best parts of the entire game, Stroll and Luis's conversation. I love this cutscene. This is one of the best ones in the whole game. I will be going into detail about my opinions on Luis later, but trust me, we're gonna be going back to this cutscene. I wonder how much damage I can do with Emerald Vortex. Could I kill Hector and maybe even Gladel? Let's find out. No, neither. That's fine. Well, what I could do instead is Taro Kaja, Will, and then we do it again. And 2 with 1 stone. Well, I guess 2 stones, because I had to do it twice. I think the term still fits. Regarding clothes, I think Juna, let's put her with the Join high school uniform. I think SMT5's like the flower petals. I think that fits Juna pretty well. Let's give it to her. Okay, so briefly here, while we're talking about Rella and she's on screen, I want to go ahead and mention that Rella is one of the few characters that has information in the game's files that leads to the idea that she was not only supposed to be a follower, but she was also supposed to be a party member at some point. In fact, there is even a scrapped archetype in the game's files called Sorcerer with a tome weapon type. This archetype would have almost assuredly been associated with Rella. In fact, you can even kind of hack in Rella as a party member, and it won't crash the game, but it doesn't really work very well. So almost certainly she made it decently far into development as a party member, and it was scrapped. I think it would have been pretty interesting to see her as a party member, since she's, well, the Prince's cursor. And I don't think she would have been a long-term party member, but I do think that it would have been interesting to see her as that. Maybe she would have aided us in Dragon Grace Shinjuku, since she visits there for healing Fidelio, or maybe she would have aided us in assassinating Luis. Who knows? But she probably had a more important role as a party member than originally let on. And away we go to Virga Island.
Virga Island is this.
It's gonna be nice going back there, despite how hot it is. Oh, it's nice to be on the water again. And it's time that we get our fishing on. Hell yeah. It's time for the real reason for why people go through New Game Plus and Metaphor. It's so you can farm fishing and constantly get more Sublime Spoonfuls. Yippee! I will definitely be doing this as often as I can. I don't guarantee that I'm going to use any Sublime Spoonfuls, but hey, when in Rome, right? I don't think that terminology actually works here, but hey, I'll take what I can get. Honestly, I feel like a hot bath would be the last thing you'd want in 31 degrees Celsius weather out in the middle of the goddamn ocean. Do I care? Nope.
No one here fights.
Alright, so we should be able to do Ga Kandera and pretty easily dispatch all of these limbs. Or maybe not. That's fine. We've got Will here who can do Emerald Vortex, ignores resistances, and this should easily clear out the enemy. There we go. Merchant! 1600, not bad. Tondeon. There we go, no problem. Oh, yourself. Give me the EXP, damn it. There we go. Good, precious EXP. Now that we're here in Virga Island, totally not Etria, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the other Etrian Odyssey references that this area has, because, as you can believe it, there are more. For one, the island becomes Etria, Etrian Odyssey. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty clear. But all of the locations here in Virga Island, or Etria, are all references to areas in Etrian Odyssey. The Golden Deer Hearth, Chilica's Weaponry, and even Rooster Inn. Now again, I want to reiterate that I do not personally think Metaphor Fantazio and Etrian Odyssey's universes are connected. This game has a lot of references to all of Atlas's works. But Etrian Odyssey obviously gets a lot more focus. I do think that there is a potential way to make it like kind of an alternate universe, but again, I don't personally think they're connected in any way other than references and maybe the loosest way of turning it into like a what-if scenario of the Etrian Odyssey universe. Those who are in the know. So I can make 2 Sublime Spoonfuls right now, which would equal out to being 3. I think that will be plenty. This will give us 5 total Sublime Spoonfuls, and realistically speaking, we shouldn't need any more than 5, even if we are going to be using it for Superbosses, which I kinda... 5 should be plenty. 5 should be more than plenty. Yeah, if you thought we could somehow sequence break this, nope. Not at all. Also, I want to go ahead and say, well, Basilio's head's kind of in the way, but Adeni's leggings just don't look very comfortable. I don't know if he has, like, something else keeping his legs secure. I mean, maybe it's because it's super hot, or it's like a ceremonial outfit, but, I would not. You could not pay me very much money to wear those. It just would feel so uncomfortable, I feel like.
All right.
So if we didn't have access to teleport, I wonder if we would have enough time to go sail from Virga Island back to Brilehaven, walk our way to Martira, get to Grand Trad, grab the Potion of Blight, and then go our way back to Martira, back to Brilehaven, sail our way back to Virga Island, and then sail our way to the Dragon Temple. So I did a little bit of math. Based on, essentially, if we were to go back the exact same route, go the exact same speed and everything, we would likely need about 20 days to travel from Virga Island to Grand Trad. If we were to take the exact same routes, and then from Grand Trad back to Virga Island, it would be a little too long. So, thankfully, we have access to teleport. Oh no, Killer Tree! Also, this costume looks really good on her, but we'll have to take a better look later. We actually have to just burn the tree down. Okay, that's one. We're gonna just Seeker's Flame, and then throw money at it. Oh, well, we didn't get a crit, so that's unfortunate. That's okay. Alright, entering into the absolute best dungeon of this whole game, we've got some new outfits to talk about. So, yeah, Juna is wearing that SMT5 school outfit pretty well. I'm honestly not a big fan of the SMT5 school wear, but yeah, she does pretty well. And you're probably wondering what Will is wearing. Well, this is the hero's outfit from Etrian Odyssey. Yes, even more references. Honestly speaking, it's fine. It's, you know, it's not my favorite, but it works. He's got a nice little small cape and a shield, and just in case things go wrong. But, you know, could it have been better? Yeah, probably. It's fine, though. I think it's pretty fitting to be running around with the hero's outfit while we're in the Etrian Odyssey dungeon, so.
Let's give this all we got. That's the talent of a songstress.
This is just what I need. Burn! Hitting the final.
Smooth finish. Great work, everyone.
Yeah, badass soundtrack. Give it a listen if you haven't already.
How that would go.
Alright, there we go. Now we're at the Dragon Altar. When you don't have to do all of the extra side stuff, this dungeon is a little shorter than the Grand Cathedral, but it's probably still, probably about the same length as the Skybound Avatar. Still really long, though. Do not forget, grab this safe room. We are going to be doing that side quest for New Game Plus.
Let's go.
Now, we are forced to use Yufa in this Dragon God fight, and thankfully she scaled pretty well, regardless of the difficulty you're on. But it's still going to be a little unfortunate that we can't use our just absolutely overpowered crew. We'll have to go through 2 boss fights without being able to break it in half super easily. It'll be fine. We use a corrosive acid on the dragon, a Dracoet. We should be able to do some good damage with Emerald Fort, with a Seeker's Gale. And also getting our damage up. Yeah, that's pretty good. Full attack on the dragon, 4,000 damage. Love Merchant. I love Merchants. Almost went through that with Unscathed Triumph. I think if I got a little bit better damage, or if I just did the last turn a little different, it probably would have been fine. But 9,000 EXP is nothing to scoff at. We'll take it. Now Yufa is tied for our highest level party member because I didn't do extra stuff here, so yippee. I think because Yufa comes from Etria, she should probably be wearing the attire that comes from Etrian Odyssey. So we'll be giving her the shaman attire. It's nice to be able to see this amazing view again. Still one of the best shots in the whole game. Love it so much. Now there's one other thing I want to talk about regarding Yufa, but primarily the summoner archetype lineage, as there is one summon that was absolutely removed from the game, but there is still tutorial images for it whenever you would unlock it with the talismans, and there is even voiced dialogue of the characters summoning this summon. And that is everyone's favorite SMT demon and persona, Mara. Yeah, this buddy was originally supposed to be in Metaphor. In fact, here, I'll play the summon lines for you to prove it.
Mara! Mara!
Mara!
Mara!
Mara! Mara!
Mara!
Mara!
Yeah, so Mara was originally supposed to be in this game and definitely made it far enough into development. However, I have a pretty good guess as to why Mara was cut. Because it's, well, a giant penis, it's pretty clear that implementing Mara into the game would definitely raise the age rating of Metaphor from a rated T game to a rated M game. Obviously, each region has their own rating styles, but I'm just using the American one because that's the one I'm familiar with. And because a lot of video games tend to get their, at least for ESRB, they tend to get their ESRB rating quite a few months out of release. Usually, it can range anywhere from 1 month to, hell, it can even range like 8 months out from initial release. It's pretty understandable that if they wanted to keep the rated T rating for whatever reason, if they just thought that it might be more approachable to a more general audience, if it was rated T rather than rated M, if it just wanted to set itself apart from Persona or SMT, that also makes reasonable sense. But in order to keep the rated T rating, they probably had to axe Mara, which I think is a fair trade if you really, really wanted to keep that rating. And unironically, I do think that's the only reason why Metaphor is rated teen rather than rated M, because this game is pretty visually gory and deals with some heavy topics, just like the other games Atlas makes. I just think it's because it didn't have the giant penis man. Anyways, I thought that was really funny. After taking down the Land of Ceremony, the Orbwise Path, and the Spire of Blind Faith, yeah, a lot taken down here, let's return to the Informant here in the Golden Deer Hearth, because there's another thing that I completely passed over in my initial run through the game. This was on purpose, because I didn't find it too useful, but since we're New Game Plus, might as well talk about it. This token of Mastari has a piece of information called Secret of the Ujif's Stall. Now, I know that there are at least a few of you out there that maybe you didn't verbally comment it. You were probably wondering why I skipped over this. Anyways, learn the secret of the stall on Seabreeze Street that only sells herbs. In Brilehaven, there's this Ujif-run shop you'll know by all the cauldrons. I mentioned this before, but I used to live outside the island way back when, so I know some things. It's over on Seabreeze Street, but the shop keeps an old miser, and all he claims he's selling is medicinal herbs. In truth, he's hidden away some interesting stuff for sale, harvested from the remains of monsters, useful for experiments and, of all things, cooking. If the Navy knew he was selling those dodgy items, they'd have him strung up, so he's extra cautious who he sells to. Not much chance getting to him to show you what he's really got for sale, but maybe having a mutual friend would change that? Maybe. Let's find out. This Ujif stall can be found right as you teleport into Seabreeze Street, just on the right over here. Welcome. Let me just say right off the bat, I don't sell...
Really?
You sell all kinds of things, I hear. I'd love to see the actual goods, if you could. Just where'd you hear that, huh? I don't deal with phony fraudsters. Go play pretend somewhere else.
That's not it.
Sounds like something more up Alonzo's alley than ours. Huh? What was that? Did you say Alonzo? I'll be. Wasn't expecting you to know his real name. I've known Alonzo a good while. That silver tongue of his saved me from the gallows once upon a time.
Really help me.
After that, I've made it a point to not deal with people who weren't in the know, but I suppose I can trust an acquaintance of his. I'll be frank with you. What I actually deal with in this shop is a special relic you can get from monsters called white masks. Another thing, I also sell an unusual ingredient on Idol's Day, which, in case you were wondering, also comes from monsters. As you can imagine, my stock is limited, so I restrict customers to one of each item per day. Keep that in mind. Anyway, here's what I've got today. Anything catch your eye? This is essentially a shop where we can purchase masks. We've got quite a few of all of these, but just to humor the guy, let's buy a full white mask. We got 12 of these, just purchase it, why not? I'll have different goods in tomorrow, so stop by if you're interested. Because we had lucky find on one of our characters pretty much all the time as we were dungeon crawling, I never found it too difficult to obtain masks, but if you want something specific, this is a good shop for it. To be perfectly honest, if you want to use masks, the only one I would really put any real weight on is either Mend or Mind masks. Because, well, being able to use stat boosting skills is nice, and Mind Mask will give you access to Almighty Magic, which is really help on Juna. But realistically speaking, the best accessory to put on Junra, especially as a Royal Mass Dancer, is Utilitarian's Manual, because it gives you access to just AoE charge, and you can also do AoE stat weakness implant. It it's not really worth using masks in the later game, in my personal opinion. Early, mid-game? Yeah, sure, go right ahead. I mean, there's some valuable masks, especially with elemental coverage, but not for the end game. I was able to obtain every single summon with all of the talismans I had access to, so this is not bad. Not bad at all. As I'm heading to the Scoundrel's Hold to get the next relic from Nurse, I just want to say, I don't think we've ever pointed out, whenever it's raining, you will see a canopy up here, so that way NPCs can just be hanging out on the deck. Also, man, the desert in the middle of a rainstorm? Oh, I mean, it's still hot as hell. 30 degrees Celsius is nothing to scoff at, but this is... I feel like this would be super refreshing, and I love seeing the water rushing on the deck, and the water bounce off of Nurse's cockpit there. I don't know. It's all the small touches. It's just nice. This I would be exactly where Stroll is right now if I was in this situation. Just hanging out, letting the breeze hit me there. Oh, that'd be so nice. You know something I completely forgot about? On Yufa's Gekkogan high school uniform, which is the Persona 3 one, I forgot that you can actually see that she has an evoker on her leg. It's giving Yufa a gun. Perfect. Just for that, I think she's gonna stick on that one. That's really, really funny. I was just messing around with all of the other outfits for the other characters, and I completely forgot about that detail. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, we're here doing the final fight of the Coliseum for the maximum gold rank. This shouldn't be too bad. With 2 samurais, we should be able to deal pretty good damage. Use our last Amber Stew for this. Have Will and Stroll as warriors. This should be valuable. Yufa, I think an Emerald Vortex is gonna be good. Just extra chip damage. 383, maybe that'll be enough. Just extra. Honestly, we just want Stroll to crit here. This should... Come on, 24, okay. It's not too bad, but I would like more. Will? Yeah, okay. Oof. This should give us a lot of EXP too. Oh boy. And then Unscathed Triumph makes that 14,000 EXP. Yeah. That gives us a level and a half.
Not bad at all.
Damn. Damn. Now, of course, we have to go through our celebration, watch Yufa and Hulkenberg get high off their rockers, and get ourselves a valuable item. Of course, the weapon doesn't really matter in terms of strength, so honestly, you get to pick whoever you want here, and you really won't see much difference. It's just cosmetic, honestly. And away we go to Altabury Heights. 1, 2, 3.
This is Altabury Heights.
From above.
I love Stroll's little design right here. He definitely was drawing this on a napkin on the way to the hotel. I just love it. He made Luis sit all gaudy. This dude is pissed, man. He knows what he did. Oh, I love it. It's so adorable. Why does the Devil Summoner icon look like it's raising its eyebrow at me? It's what the kids call, mogging now? Yeah, I don't know why it looks like that to me, but I was just thinking that as I was leveling it up on Will. Whoa, what just happened there? Did I, clip through the railing or something? What the hell happened there? And of course I can't replicate it. Okay, well, at least I have that on camera now. That was kind of cool. Just getting my sword surfing techniques all warmed up for the Luis fight, I guess? Alright, this time we've got the Samurai Garb from SMT4 aiding us in the assassination against Luis. Persona 3 and SMT4 working together, I think, for the first time. Alright. Little do these poor guards know that they're going up against New Game Plus soldiers. Yeah, poor guys.
Let's fight with all we have, Captain.
Let's fight with all we have! I'm gonna throw money at his ass.
This is our mission.
So obviously I'll go ahead and just set up this nice little fire damage. Pass turn, Dragon God. And then classic throw money at all our problems. I have the wrong abacus on. That's unfortunate. Well, that's fine. Yufa, you have fun. Finish him off. Never mind. Honestly, Stroll, you kind of deserve that. Will, you don't deserve that as much. Oh, hey, there's the crits. No, I was waiting for Luis to be a little bit more dangerous, but that's fine. Okay, now crit. Thank you. That's what I get for having the Fortune Abacus on instead of the one that increases damage. Whoopsies. I want to go ahead and talk about this segment of the game for a little bit, as this 2-day block where you arrive in Altabury, you kill, or attempted to kill Luis, then you rest, wake up the next day, Forden dies, Luis comes back, and then we have Will and crew decide that they're going to have Will pretend to be the prince, and then the next day you have the entire thing where Will comes out as the prince, Rella becomes the next candidate, Luis removes all the king's magic, you fly to the Mage Academy, you deal with Rella, and then all that happens within a 3-day time span in the game. A lot of people consider this to be a very rushed segment of the game. Personally speaking, I have one question. Did you want this to be spread out across an extra 10 hours? Really, think about it. Did you really want there to be 2-3 extra days of basically just letting things mull over while you wait in between these? I mean, really, what would have happened? We kill Luis, we realize, oh, Forden must be behind the assassination attempt. Then we wait 3 days for the celebration to wrap up, and we basically just either hang out with followers, or we just sit and talk with each other about all of the events whenever we really already just went over everything we needed to. Just get it done in one scene and move on to the next bit. They need Forden to be dead soon anyways. Next, if you let the game progress soon after Luis comes back and Forden dies, and then we wait a couple of days before Rella becomes the next stand-in for Forden, you have Luis just kind of hanging around for a little bit, not making a move on the party whenever he actively wants them found and taken care of, because they know where the prince is. So there really wouldn't be a lot of good reason for Luis just to wait a couple of days and let players just sort of take in the information. It makes sense for this to happen in the next 24 hours. And then, of course, there's the whole Mage Academy thing. I've already mentioned that I don't think the Mage Academy needed to be a dungeon. Maybe a couple of rooms just to set the atmosphere and the tone for what we would be doing there, but realistically, we didn't need another major dungeon right now. I think that saying that this segment of the game is rushed is just not acknowledging the fact that if they were to extend it, it would have been no better. In fact, I think it would have made the story a little worse. Yes, it is 2 hours of just back-to-back non-stop insane stuff happening, but I think it was for the best. I have said many times that I don't think this is the best way they could have handled the story, but personally speaking, I can't think of a better way. At least not right now. But I'm sure there is a better option for what they did. What we got is perfectly fine in my personal opinion, though. I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. I see that a lot online, and there's also a lot of people who think the final arc is very rushed. I don't think so. I think the final arc gives you too much time to really let things mull over. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just wrong on this, or I'm just the black sheep. You know, despite this being considered one of the hardest fights in the whole game, Utilitarian's Manual plus Meteor does not make this all that difficult. 1. And then we do a 2. And then we do a 3. And then the dragon's dead. And then she heals, which, you know, classic. And then we just keep going. Like, yeah, are we gonna take damage? Almost certainly, yes. Does it really matter? No, not really. Because we're just gonna do this again. And then again. And then the fight's over. Yo, let's go, Basilio. He's rocking that Seven Sisters High outfit pretty well. It's kind of a stretchy, it looks a little bit like Tatsuya, but I mean, the rolled up sleeves, this man's ready to rock. Nice, let's go. Let's hear some SMT4 battle music, let's go!
Everyone, go! Behold this power. Let's do this together. leave it to you. Great job, Yuna.
I will fight with
Now
pride.
you're weak to something
The next one's
new.
yours.
Everyone, if we all work together. If you would.
Yeah. Once again, SMT4, listen to the soundtrack. It's pretty good. But that really about does it for Altabury. Yeah, I didn't really have a lot to talk about there, didn't I? Well, I mean, I guess it's what happens whenever I get through everything in my initial run. Anyways, let's go to bed, and I will see you at the duel with Luis. And oh boy, this is gonna be really funny. Here we go. Luis is not ready for the peerless stone cleaver I have set up for him. Oh boy. Big words for Luis here, buddy. Let's see if you can hold on against Peerless Stroll Cleaver and Peerless Stroll Cleaver Will Edition. Here we go. 1 and 2. Well.
Good. Very good. Yours is a worthy power, one untainted by petty tactics or cheap tricks.
I don't know what Luis's definition of Peerless Stone Cleaver would be, but I would definitely say it's one of those two, for sure. Damn it, I got banned from the world because I was using cheap tricks and petty tactics. Boo! Don't use Peerless Stone Cleaver, boo! At this point in time, I want to go ahead and mention that throughout this introspection segment where Will's mother is talking to us to get us to remember who we are, you can end the game early with a bad ending if you decide to not seek out the truth and just push away her attempts to get you to remember your real purpose and objective here. I'll be perfectly honest, I think the bad ending is kind of boring and not really worth showing. If you're interested, there's videos online to showcase it, and maybe it's worth trying it for yourself. There are also plenty of bad endings throughout the rest of the game, hence being unable to succeed in your objective before a deadline. You will get a bad ending, though usually they're just a couple of dialogue boxes with a still image. Some of them are a little more interesting than others, but they're really not all that crazy.
His will lives on.
Hey, he said it, his will. Something else I also want to talk about is these murals. Now, while we're talking with Hermites Griode, she gives us a brief description of some of these murals, including this one, which is these two paintings or murals depict the rise and prosperity of the old world, which we now know is ours, and also the fall with the War of Destruction, which had dragons and all sorts of melancholia and magla beasts. Eventually ending here with this mural, which showcases the Elda and the various races that sort of sprouted off from them. We can interact with these murals, and we can get a little bit more dialogue about them. The mural depicts a scene from ancient history. Together, the three artworks form one large scene. This is also likely a reference to a triptych in real life, which is also what the Garden of Earthly Delights is in the real world, which is Hieronymus Bosch's most famous work, and is what inspired metaphor from the ground up. 8 youths stand facing away from each other in a ring formation. At the center of the circle lies a corpse holding a flower. Each figure is from a different tribe. Perhaps the corpse belongs to an Elda. All 8 have their backs to the body. The artwork is titled Triptych, Birth of the Tribes. So if we were to look at this triptych, if we start from the left and go right, we have the Ujif, the Parapus, the Rogue. We can tell this is the Rogue because they're older people, and the Rogues sort of stay in the older portion of their lives for longer. They're also a long-lived species, or tribe, I guess, is technically the proper term. We have the Clamar, then the Elda in the middle, then we have the Rasant, the Mistari, the Ishkia, and then the Nydia. And we can see here that the Nydia are showcased in their true form, not their fake form. I like this. I like that there is a triptych in the game that is inspired, based on Hieronymus Bosch's works because he was well known for his triptychs. Now there also are other murals that we didn't go over. There are 3 other ones. This one right here. The mural depicts a scene from ancient history. The city lies in ruins in the background, a testament to the repercussions of war. In the foreground, resilient survivors take up an agrarian lifestyle. The artwork is entitled Dawn. Then we move on to the next one. The mural depicts a historical scene from a seemingly more recent era than the others. The Clamar general leads an army. The soldiers are equipped with modern weaponry, including gauntlet runners and igniters. The artwork is entitled The Second World. And then we have one more. A wise-looking youth and a beautiful woman face each other in a familiar forest. Could this depict the sanctum? Upon closer examination, the woman is an Elda. The art appears to be a blessing of the union between the two figures. I wonder when this scene is supposed to have taken place. The artwork is entitled Union. Obviously, with knowledge of how the game concludes, we know this to be Hythlodaeus and his wife celebrating their union in the Elden Sanctum, which would eventually produce Will. I want to go ahead and say that there have been a lot of talks of whether or not Metaphor Fantazio should spark a franchise, if it should be another pillar of Atlas games. Personally speaking, I think it's okay if this is a one-off and Studio Zero moves on to work on other projects. However, if they decide to continue the Metaphor, canon, or universe, I want one of two options. And I'll go ahead and mention the one that I want the least out of the two. And that being us seeing a story that takes place at the very beginning of Ukronia's history. In fact, a little before that. I would love to see a story that focuses on the first king and his troop, and how they founded the kingdom, and how they brought order to a country that was recently destroyed by this massive calamity. I think it would be interesting to see kind of the other side of history. However, if we do see a sequel to Metaphor, I want it to be a completely separate adventure on a completely different continent. It's very clear that Ukronia is sort of built on top of Japan, but what about the other places in the world? North America, South America, Australia, Eurasia just in general, Antarctica. What do the other places look like? We know that Katharina travels to the nearby lands, probably, if I had to guess, East Asia, but we don't really get to much details other than they have cannons. So, I think it'd be really interesting to see how the rest of the world developed. Maybe Ukronia is special in terms of having these races. How did the War of Destruction affect the rest of the world? Hell, did it affect the rest of the worlds beyond, in the solar system? Did it affect everything else? Who knows? Those are my two ideas. I think it'd be interesting to see at least one of those, but I'm also not against ending the Metaphor canon here and moving on to a new IP entirely. Oh hey, look! 2 archetypes I would have really liked to have like 20 in-game hours ago. It's fine. Better late than never, I guess. Alright, here we go. Final arc. Skybound Avatar is now unlocked. Personally speaking, I think it's best to wrap up every single bond and then do the Dragon Tower, and then go do Skybound Avatar, followed immediately by the Tyrant Star. I think that's probably the best way to do this in New Game Plus, just so everything is done and out of the way, and you just have to focus on dungeons afterwards. Okay, I've pushed this can down long enough. Let's go ahead and talk about any of the unused characters and followers that could have been found in the game's files. Now, I'll go ahead and preface this that outside of Rella, which I've already given special attention to, none of these characters could be hacked into the game, or if you were able to potentially get their files into the game, it would crash everything and you would not be able to make it work. A list of characters that were unused, but were likely planned at some point to have a role in your party are Fidelio, the Prince, PX, Nuris, Rella, and Luis. Now, going down the list one by one, Fidelio, I think this could have been a potential temporary party member, maybe during the human fight while we're on the ship. I don't think Fidelio would have actually awoken to an archetype and would have been a party member. I think him dying is too important to Basilio's story and was likely intended from the beginning. The Prince, this ties into something that I'll talk about in just a second, so I'll skip him for a bit. PX on the list is just Juna's true form. I don't think we would have actually been able to use Juna's true form, but maybe at some point there was a a decision made that maybe she was going to be in her true form for finding those Erica flowers, and that would have been a dungeon, and I don't know. I think that was likely just a placeholder, or just in case we might end up doing this, let's put some data in there. Next is Nurse. Nurse I could have seen being an actual party member that we used. I mean, he has a whole archetype lineage dedicated to him. However, I do think that he was probably scrapped in favor of just keeping the party at its core 7 that we see right now. And I think that was probably for the best. We've already talked about Rella. And then there's Luis. Personally speaking, I feel like he was probably, if he was going to be a playable party member, it either would have been during a other sequence of some kind, or would have just played as Luis, which I highly doubt. Or he would have been a playable party member in a very brief moment, potentially in the Opera House, confronting Forden. I don't know. I feel like Luis as a party member was probably just a leftover from maybe something very, very early on in development. Or who knows, maybe it's part of a definitive edition that'll come out in 3.5 years. Please, Atlas, don't do that. Please don't. Next is unused followers. So this is a bit longer, so let's just go down the list real fast. We've got Rella. I've already talked about her. Then we have Batlin. Oh, I really, really wish they'd kept this. I don't know how far in development this must have been, but I really wish we had a Batlin follower story. Oh, that would have been so good. What we got, though, is perfectly fine, I think. Yufa's brother, which is a Denny. Him getting a follower rank, that would have been nice. He already shows up quite a bit in Yufa's story, so having him kind of double dip, I think, would have been a little unfortunate, but I think it would have been fine if he had one. Then we have Fidelio again, Leclerc, which is a character name that we don't ever really get to see much of, so it was probably a character scrapped very early on in development, along with Carlos and Alban. Again, those are character names that we don't really know much about, and since they would have shared a story, I don't even know where they would have been put. Carlos and Alban don't even really seem like names that were used they don't even seem like the type of name you would see anywhere else in the game, so I don't even know where they'd be put. They were likely scrapped very early on, or were just placeholders. Then we have Fangio, and then the protagonist. Now, the protagonist is obviously the prince, and we do have some information regarding the protagonist's bond, as there is some unused text that looks like the text you would see whenever you were looking at a character's description or their synopsis. So, obviously, the protagonist was going to have some kind of rank. Personally speaking, I don't think it would have really amounted to much. Maybe it would have been a way for you to check your story progress or your personal progress with your royal virtues. I don't see why having the protagonist as a follower rank would have helped very much, which is likely why it was scrapped. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go over that, because I think it's fairly interesting. And now we deal with the Elegy of the Soul. Alright, so the way that we want to handle this is by prepping Masquerade Charge. We're gonna need to do a little bit of preparations here. Because the Elegy of the Soul starts on Seeker, if we just lower all of his stats to -3, he will waste all of his actions, which is very, very valuable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Hero's Cry. And because we have Royal Berserker, we're gonna rush Basilio up, we're gonna set up Wanton Destruction. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to use our Evil Eye Talismans to set his stats to -3. I am gonna set up another Masquerade Charge. You'll get back over to Juna's turn, and that's when we'll use Formation of Vigor. What we're gonna do is we're gonna Evil Eye Talisman, then we're gonna Evil Eye Talisman. We're going to pass turn to Juna. She's going to Formation of Vigor. Next is gonna be Will, and he's gonna do Hero's Proving. Okay. Now he's gonna go to Seek Archetype. You can do Adventurous Curiosity, and then he's going to do Heat Riser 3 times. 1, 2, and then 3. Alright, at this point, we have access to Wanton Destruction, which will do extra damage. And then we have access to Stroll. I do not have the Beloved Greatsword on him. That is a mistake on my part, but hopefully it'll be okay. That's 1. Heal this Stone Cleaver with Will as partner. Let's Masquerade Charge again.
I owe you one. I owe you.
Will goes in for Royal Sword. We go in for Wanton Destruction again.
Give me your aid.
Fearless Stone Cleaver with Will.
Not done yet.
Come on, follow me.
Pass turn, and please crit. Damn it. Okay, well, that's because of the Beloved Sword. Alright, same setup. I actually went ahead and equipped the Beloved Greatsword this time. Everything's working out just fine. There's the 3 Heat Risers. Alright, now we should be able just to run this guy over. Wanton Destruction. Sets that up real nice. Then we do Fearless Stone Cleaver. Didn't get the damage I wanted, but that's okay. Masquerade Charge again. That way the boys can do crazy damage. Will comes in, Royal Sword with Juna. 3,300, could have been better. Wanton Destruction. Fearless Stone Cleaver, and he dies. Perfect. Could this be better? Yeah, but I like using other archetypes. Okay, can you blame me for thinking that Yoko Taro might have something to do with this game's development? I mean, look at the atmosphere here. I mean, it's nothing that Atlas isn't used to. I mean, look at Shin Megami Tensei 3, 4, 5, Strange Journey, Persona 3 even. But I mean, dude, just the giant face staring down at a bunch of people while the sky is blood red. Everyone going crazy. Yeah, I definitely felt like there might have been something silly going on. I don't know, maybe Yoko Taro will work on Persona 6 or something. Ugh, that's a bad thought. Besides, Persona 6 doesn't exist. That game's never coming out. Alright, with the Trial of the Dragon done, every single party member and every other character's follower rank completed. There's nothing really else for us to do other than go to the Skybound Avatar and wrap this stuff up. So, let's go and do this dungeon. That's basically just a glorified boss rush, but both final dungeons are kind of a glorified boss rush. You know what? That's actually fair. This segment of the Skybound Avatar, where you are locked inside of a room with a time limit and you have to destroy trance crystals, this is a lot easier if you have a bunch of finisher noodles, which thankfully I have 99 of them. They're also even easier if you use invincible noodles as well, so you can get close to the crystals and then eat some finisher noodles. I won't be doing that, just finisher noodles.
Right there.
You can use these enemies as a way to get closer to the crystals by just dashing to them.
Come on.
And then kill in one shot. Because I'm severely underleveled right now, this is basically the best chance I have at actually finishing this in a reasonable amount of time.
There they are.
There we go. Let's just head upstairs first, I'd say. Keep to the side. Keep an eye on the clock because we're about to run out of noodles. Thankfully, we have a clock to know when 30 seconds is up. Pop this, dash to this, done.
There they are.
Dash here, take care of that one. And then dash and take care of the last one. Poor Zorba is not gonna know what hit him. Oh well. Hopefully he has bodies to spare. Probably not. Alright, one Peerless Stone Cleaver. And a Royal Sword should be enough, actually. Yeah. If you are curious, yes, you can get a bad ending by agreeing with Luis. It's one of the situations where I don't really find it all that interesting to showcase. If you're interested, play the game yourself or watch it on YouTube. Trust me, it's there. Now, something we didn't finish on our initial run that I decided I was going to leave for New Game Plus was watching the remaining plays here in the Opera House. Now, we have seen most of these. We've seen the King and the Knights of the Dinner Table. We have seen the Princess Predicament. We have seen the Stripling and his stewards. We have seen the Kerchief Maiden, which means all that's left is the Fairy's Reward. The play is called The Fairy's Reward. It's about a young man who saves a fairy. I mean, it's already like this protagonist based on the title alone. Like a nice feel-good story.
Alright.
The Fairy's Reward is a play that's apparently about a kind-hearted young man who meets a fairy. Oh, dear fairy, your wing is hurt, is it not? Allow me to tend to the wound and bandage it up. Closure, closure. My thoughts turn to that fairy. I wonder if she was able to return to her hometown. Oh, a knock at the door? Whomever could it be at this late hour? Apologies for the intrusion, sir. Would you happen to have a room to let? In return, I offer you the beautiful fabrics that I will weave. My, you are ever so beautiful, and you promise me gifts as well. Of course, you are welcome here for as long as you desire. Oh wow, he's letting a complete stranger stay at his house. I can't tell if he's good-natured or just naive. Sir, you have broken my one request, which was to not enter the room whilst I am weaving. Forsooth, you're a fairy! Oh my, was all of this done as Line? Remuneration? Okay. Remuneration for the aid I offered before. With my true nature now known, I can stay here no longer. I bid you farewell, good sir. These possessions mean nothing without you here. Following the teachings of Sanctism, I shall distribute these fabrics to the people. And so, the young man who did not discriminate against the fairies was thus elevated to sainthood.
I see.
I mean, I guess what he did was admirable, but you don't need to be religious to be nice to fairies. Inspired by the man's selfless goodwill, I felt my own tolerance grow.
Alright.
Okay, I've been putting this off long enough. Before we move on to our next segment, I want to take some time to divulge my personal opinions on Luis as a character, and more specifically, as a villain. Throughout this series, I've kept my general thoughts on Luis to a minimum, only really ever mentioning on occasion just how cool or intimidating he can be when he's on screen, or how awesome his battles are. And this was mainly to let the character and game speak for itself, allowing those who may be seeing Metaphori Fantazio for the first time to develop their own opinions without my commentary tipping that balance in any way. But now, I'll give my full opinion on him myself, as I have a lot I want to say. Something that I want to make very clear from the get-go is that during the pre-release marketing phase for Metaphor, Luis was presented to us as one of two main antagonists alongside Forden, and the journey to assassinate him was front and center as part of the story setup that Atlas had given us. So, of course, Luis being a bad guy was by no means a big surprise. But what did shock me and many other players was the fact that Luis stayed a constant threat throughout the game, always either being in the back of the player's mind or taking center stage and stealing every scene he's in while causing a massive uproar in the events of the story. For those who are fans of previous Atlas titles, will know that they love their surprise antagonists during the final stages of the story to really up the stakes to the maximum. But after multiple games of those twists, they tend to get a little stale. I'll not lie to you, I was fully expecting an evil version of the Sanctus God or some surprise twist villain to be awaiting me at the end of Metaphor's story. But instead, it was Luis. The man we were setting up to kill from the very beginning of the game was our final trial at the end of a journey full of twists and turns for both parties, even to the point where our reasons for wanting Luis dead had been altered and expanded upon significantly. Oh yeah, this bastard didn't even commit the crime we were originally wanting to assassinate him for. But because he is such a screwed up bastard, there is no end to the list of reasons for wanting him dead. No forced redemption arc for him, no apologies burning down Halia or threatening to destroy Etruria, no regret for killing Fidelio or murdering the king. He just commits to his actions no matter how terrible they were, and giving us, the party, numerous reasons to want to kill him by the end of the story, despite the prince's curse having nothing to do with him directly. So yeah, Luis was a nice breath of fresh air in that regard, which helped him set apart himself from the rest of Atlas's recent antagonists. But now I want to talk about what I really like about Luis, and why he is easily one of my favorite villains of all time, and raised Metaphori Fantazio from being a game that I really like to one that I'll hold onto as a game that struck a chord with me. Luis is shown many times throughout the narrative to have a clear and usually correct understanding of the kingdom's underlying problems and prejudices. He directly calls out these flaws and decides to stand in defiance of traditions and sentiment as being possible solutions, instead opting for a vision that takes meritocracy to its logical extreme. Luis's vision of the kingdom and its people is one driven purely by one's own ambitions and strength, where those who have the will to fight for their lives survive, and those who can't, fall. True equality, as he would put it, is created in that moment, since pre-established norms that would usually punish the people would be shattered. Luis holds no real favor towards anyone, even so much as to seemingly not care about how much carnage is wrought in his new world, since the strong will prevail anyways. He has no real compassion or empathy for mankind, and sees no real way for those around him to transcend their flaws through any means except through cruelty. Now, this already makes him a pretty neat foil to Will and the party as a whole, but what turns Luis from being just yet another JRPG bad guy who hates mankind and wants to alter the world for the worse into one of the best villains out there for me all has to do with how he and his actions are viewed by the kingdom's people itself. So let's take a look at Luis from an onlooker's perspective. When Luis makes his grand speeches, he's always speaking with conviction. There doesn't seem to be any real agenda or mask he's hiding behind. His words aren't ones of compassion, and he doesn't seem to be fighting for some greater good, yet he's sticking it to those in power who are using their influence to put those of us who struggle to live down. His directness is a breath of fresh air in a land plagued by nobility and politics that use traditions and societal duties to bring others to heel. It's no small wonder he has such a massive following. He employs people to his ranks regardless of tribe, and he will recognize those who can prove themselves to rise above their station. Even having 2 Petterpuss as his right hands? I mean, think of that! He speaks of a nation where the people aren't bound by tribe, where all can be equal. For those of us who are desperately trying to find some way to escape our shitty lives, why wouldn't we want this man to be king? He's stepped up and has said all of the right things, promised us exactly what we want, and proven to be a man of his word through his actions of hiring people of any tribe while protecting us from the sudden human menace. That bastard Forden and his Sanctists have pushed all of us around long enough, and it's time someone did something about it. Many of the people who see Luis and hear his speeches are those who follow him because they are desperate, they are angry, and they are exhausted. They have spent years watching institutions fail them, and Luis is one of the few people willing to acknowledge their suffering without dressing it up in comforting rhetoric. And as his popularity surges, even the wealthy and those in the nobility attempt to curry favor with him, though usually out of fear rather than devotion. Even after all of the horrible things that Luis does throughout the story, his following only ever rises. The murder of the king, the attack on the royal cathedral, the death of Forden, the active removal of the king's magic to incite violence towards and between candidates. Even when the sky is covered by blood-red clouds, even when human victims are at an all-time high, even when his closest ally is seemingly thrown off of the skybound avatar to his death, there are still enough people that support him to keep him firmly in the #1 spot in the competition. When Luis becomes Destroyer Caradrius, turning into a human for the whole country to see, he still holds onto a large following that persists long after his death. Luis's followers were willing to follow him to the literal end of the world because of his promises or out of fear for what he would do to those who didn't fall in line. This is what I found to be the most impactful part of Luis's character, since it feels all too real. Our real-world history has many figures who Luis is definitely inspired by. Those who rose to prominence by identifying real grievances within their nations, by looking at a problem and acknowledging it as reality, can be incredibly powerful. These figures tended to be ones who used their influence to enact radical changes, usually for the worst, creating times of extreme anxiety, anger, and despair for those that support them and for those around them. And the people who support them oftentimes are of one of 2 minds. Either the radical supporters who will follow their leader to the ends of the earth because their actions are being justified by those in power, or people who are too afraid of the consequences for defiance against that higher power. Even in recent history, we have one very clear example of this happening right now, and especially with the release timing of Metaphor here in the United States, it felt extremely relevant and eye-opening to witness Luis and his followers. I personally can never understand the notion of Luis being a boring, one-note villain who's unrealistic, when we have countless events ranging from 3,000 years ago to present day showcasing that people like him and his extreme followers do in fact exist. But as history has also shown, there are those who are willing to rise up in defiance of people like Luis, people who push for compassion and equality through helping others around you as a community. And as Metaphor Fantazio shows us, 1 year after Luis's defeat, that while utopia where everyone is content is well and truly impossible, it shouldn't stop us from trying to make the best with our lives as we can, together. After spending literally 19 days straight doing nothing but sleeping, we can finally unlock the Tyrant Star. Finally! Oh no, not this track again! No! I'm back in hell! Alright, so, now that we're here in the Tyrant Star for realsies, I want to go ahead and tell you right now. If you are looking to fight the hardest version of Luis possible, do not do any of the human refights. Do not do any of them at all. Go for a straight shot to Luis. However, small problem.
What now?
I am incredibly underleveled for a Regicide version of Luis. So we need to fix this a little bit. How do we go about that, you wonder? Well, it would be this transcrystal section right here on the second part of the Tyrant Star map. It spawns a bunch of humans. If we were to equip some finisher noodles, we can start killing these humans in one shot. This is not going to get you an instant win level up. What it will do, however, and also these two transcrystals are also very, very good. What it will do, however, is set you up for getting to level 70, at least in that range, to be able to fight these guys on even footing. Just kind of sit in this middle area. Be very, very careful with your range. I've put myself on mage just so we have a little bit better range. Okay, definitely want to get rid of that guy. Come on, come on. Yeah, come near me, perfect. Come near me. There we go. Oh, come on, I didn't see that one. That's not good. Thankfully, with Barden's bond maxed out, we can easily run from battles to make things a bit easier. Just top yourselves off whenever you get hurt, and go back to killing these guys. Also, at this point in time, this is definitely the best point to have maxed out every single archetype on Will. This is needed for achievement, at least on Steam, so you should go ahead and get this over with right about now. Again, it's a little late to do this now, but as I have said before, I recommend unlocking every archetype in your base run. That way, if you're doing Regicide from New Game Plus, you don't have to spend triple the amount of mag to get these unlocked. It's much easier this way. Something really silly I want to point out that I was thinking of as I was playing through the game originally is that in the very first trailer that was released for Metaphor back in the summer of 2023, they showed off the Tyrant Star. Yeah, they did. This spot right here. You can see them running through this area, going down these stairs. Here, I'll show it on screen right now. It's very, very funny. I don't like being super meta like this, but I knew the game was not over at the Skybound Avatar because I knew there was a dungeon in the game called Tyrant Star thanks to the first trailer. That dungeon hadn't shown up yet, and I hadn't any reason to assume that there was a cut dungeon that they had shown on the first trailer. So yeah, I knew there was at least going to be something left. Though speaking of cut content in that first trailer, there is this shot of Will in an abyss standing up, talking to someone. This is actually a cut cutscene, so ironic that I talk about that right now. This is actually probably supposed to be Will and Moore's first meeting because this cut cutscene is in the game's files still and can be seen. I'll show you on screen right now.
A world devoid of the walls dividing tribes. A world with no need for that abstract dominion we know as magic. This is the utopia our countrymen should aim for. You agree, yes?
Who are you?
Ah, my voice actually reaches you. All the more baffling you can even see me, albeit imperfectly. The pleasure is mine, I'm sure. You carry a certain fantasy novel, yes? It was my hand that penned it. Perhaps perhaps that is the basis of our connection. Now, there's something I'd like to tell you, though I'm unsure how to explain it. A great evil flows through this land. The tragedy of the royal family is only the beginning. The world is doomed to a war transcending mortal scale. A true apocalypse.
An apocalypse?
Indeed. With but a single choice, we might seal the doom of civilization as we know it. And yet, you may be a candle's light amidst these dark times. Something drives you forward, protects you. A force not unlike fate. Yes, you are a traveler in body and soul, firm in ideals, yet driven by perpetual wandering. Yours will be a journey worth observing. And if I'm correct in my judgment, we will meet again soon. I wonder what sort of story will unfold. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, just thought that was interesting to note. Anyways, back to the level grind for me. An alternative leveling method will take advantage of autosave. Right here I said these 3 trans crystals are the best way to level up. Well, that is the case. Destroy this trans crystal right here. As you can see, these other trans crystals are not summoning anything at all. Though, of course, they will fight back against you if you are going to try and destroy them. As you can see, we've destroyed these 3 trans crystals. Now, something that you can do is that if you haven't gone through the whole dungeon and grabbed every single item, there is this item right next to these trans crystals. Let's go ahead and grab it. As you can see, our game is auto-saving. It'll auto-save after every single grab. Now, it'll save you before you grab the item. So, if we were to go to our autosave and reload it, we will appear right before we grab this item. And because we have reloaded the area, these crystals have come back. Essentially, allowing us to respawn these fish, humans, apply more finisher noodles, walk over, and destroy the crystal again. And we can destroy the others as well. You only get 2 EXP for that though, that's mostly there for hero jewelries. Then, we grab the item again, open up our menu, go to system, go to load our autosave, as we've now grabbed that, and it will reload the trance crystals. This is, in my opinion, it might not be the absolute best leveling method, but in my personal opinion, it is the fastest if you're trying to just go for EXP. Just kill that, grab this item, open up your menu, load, quick save, go. Rinse and repeat. Once you're high enough level to where you won't need the finisher noodles anymore, you can equip a ranged-based archetype like the Faker or a Gunner, and you can destroy the trance crystal from afar. But for now, we'll just run with this. With that grind out of the way, I hit level 80 on Will and 79 to 77 on everyone else. Now I think it is finally time for us to go back to this Book of Apocalypse and see what this red scale dragon is all about. Now, there are 2 main ways I would suggest you tackle this challenge. One that requires Sublime Spoonfuls, and one that doesn't. I will be showcasing both here right now. If you're interested in just wrapping up the fight as soon as possible utilizing Sublime Spoonfuls, there's plenty of ways that you can handle that. You can either use the Stone Cleavers, or you can go into full Merchants and just constantly hit the guy and apply Sublime Spoonfuls whenever you're about to run out of turns. In this case, we'll be running with Will, Heisme, Juna, and Basilio. Essentially, we're just going to buff ourselves up, debuff the boss with Will, and then just keep hitting him constantly until he dies. So, this is it if you wanted to do this fight with Sublime Spoonfuls. Alright, once you enter the encounter, how I would suggest you start this is by utilizing Heisme's Formation of Vigor. That'll boost everyone's attack power. Go ahead and set up Masquerade Charge. And then we put Vidartha on him, we put Vidartha on him, which will decrease the dragon's defense by 2 stages. Let's go ahead and just throw that out. There we go. Let's apply a weakness with Wanton Destruction. And then with Heisme's turn, we want to go ahead and start using Sublime Spoonfuls. Because we have 5 of these, I think the way that we're built right now, we probably only need to use 4 of them, but we have an extra one just in case things go wrong, in case we miss or something horrible happens. At this point, use Mass Great Charge again. And then with Will, we start using some Royal Swords. Now, Royal Sword is obviously not going to do as much damage as it would normally, but there you go. 4,400 damage isn't bad. Basilio's going to be doing most of our damage, at 9,200 with Wanton Destruction. Izme used Sublime Spoonful, and at this point in time, you've obviously seen what we have to do. You can obviously also use Hero's Cry if you need extra turn icons, which I'll go ahead and showcase right now. This will give you just extra 4 turn icons for you to do crazy stuff with. Now, if you aren't interested in keeping Izme around, I don't see the reason why you would, but you can swap him out if you want to try and do extra damage. Personally, I would suggest just throwing maybe a Evil Eye Talisman just to lower his defense to a final stage, and you just keep going. We'll use Royal Sword. Basilio use Wanton Destruction, and then Sublime Spoonful. Honestly, this is a pretty boring way of beating the boss, but it is there for you if you want. Sublime Spoonfuls are basically here to defeat these ultimate super bosses. I will say that even though I am going to show me beating this guy without using any Sublime Spoonfuls, I will be taking the full EXP from an Unscathed Triumph from this boss because I think it'll be very important. So I'll be doing this again after I beat him legitimately. Use Mass Great Charge one final time. We should be able to kill him with this final Royal Sword. And there we are. Now, let's say you want to do this legitimately. This is a much, much harder encounter like this, and you're going to need to make sure everyone is prepared. I will say right now, similar to the other dragon fights we fought, you cannot have anything on your person with any character that repels an element of some kind. You will be instantly killed. You are okay to have nullifications. You are not allowed to have anything that repels. That is not allowed in this encounter. I'm showing you my gear right now for my entire party. Honestly, the main thing I would suggest you bring is be sure to have dedicated healers and debuffers. Will right now is going to be doing some good damage, but I've also have Vidartha on him in order to lower that attack and defense from the boss. He does have Dekaj and Dekunda, so the buffs on yourself and him aren't really going to matter all that much, but it's good to keep him checked as much as possible. For Stroll, we have basically just full-on attack build. Whenever it's his time to be swapped in, we're going to swap him in, and hopefully he'll do a lot of damage. Hulkenberg is going to be full-on tank, and she'll have access to Medica if we need heals. The big thing about Hulkenberg is that if you bring her in, she'll have access to Ultimate Guard, which will give us a block for every single member of the party. This boss does have access to Almighty attacks, so it's not perfect, but it is decent enough. Next we have Izme. Izme is going to be Dodge Tank. I'm going to start off the encounter with him, and hopefully, and this is a big hopefully, I can get some good dodges on him, and we can ideally see some good effects from Shadow Dwellers and Dodge Ring, well, not the Dodger Ring, but essentially, I'm hoping that Noble Thief's Soul and Shadow Dwellers can carry us, especially in the early portions of the fight, so we don't have to start the encounter on the back foot. Juna is going to be our main buffer, as she has been normally, but she'll also be our main source of getting rid of the boss's buffs and getting rid of debuffs on us. She also has healing in case we need it. Yufa's kind of a wild card. The biggest thing for her is that she'll have Summon Harvest God, which will revive all allies from KO and restores them to full HP, along with everyone else. Otherwise, she'll be basically extra chip damage, but Yufa's kind of a break class in case of emergency character. I'm not planning on bringing her into the encounter, but she's there if we need her. And the Basilio, as you saw with how we cheesed him, he's basically going to be Wanton Destruction spam. We have Light Dodge on him to potentially increase the chances of him dodging light attacks, but Darkness is still there as a weakness, and so Basilio's kind of a double-edged sword. We'll be doing a lot of damage with Wanton Destruction, but we need to be very careful to not let him get hit, because he's going to be a pretty big liability on enemy turns. Either way, that's the setup. Let's get this started.
What's happening?
This boss, Red Scale Apocalypse Dragon, has a unique gimmick that we'll be getting into as we get further into the encounter. But just know, this guy has a lot of press turns, and he's going to keep getting more of them. So it's best to get as good of a start as you possibly can. I think Knight's Proclamation is not the right play right now. I think getting Formation of Vigor out right now is good. We will be getting Heisme's turn again. We want to go into the back row with Juna here. And I think it would be best if we use Masquerade Charge just off the bat. Essentially, this first turn is going to play out very similar to how it was normally. We're going to move Will into the back row, and we're going to use Vidartha to lower the boss's attack and defense. Basilio is going to stay in the front row, and we're going to do Wanton Destruction to prepare that weakness to strike. And then we're going to move Heisme to the back row and deal with Knight's Proclamation. And hopefully, we can get a dodge. We need a dodge. If Heisme is not super accurate, then we might need to swap in Hulkenberg. Great Dragon's Wrath is going to give him an attack boost. Loathsome Claw to Heisme, we got a dodge. Perfect. Okay. Now, with this underway, we are going to do Masquerade Charge again. That way, Basilio is still going to be doing a lot more damage. Will right here is going to do Vidartha. Actually, I want to... Actually, no. I'm going to move Will into the front, and we're going to do Royal Sword. I want that extra chip damage. Berserker. We're going to go for Wanton Destruction. We are going to do Knight's Proclamation. And then we are going to do Masquerade Charge. Will's going to move to the back row here, though. Will's going to move to the back row, and we're going to do Vidartha to lower his attack power, in case we get into any problems. Dragon's Contempt. Dragon's Contempt is going to give him an extra turn icon permanently. Okay, we got the dodge here with Noble Thief's Soul. At certain HP thresholds, at 25%, 50%, and 75%, he will use that skill to give himself a permanent extra turn icon on his turn. It is dangerous. And at lower percentages, around 8% or so, he will do it one more time and then instant kill your party. You have to be very careful around the last rounds of this encounter. 10,000 damage right there. We definitely need to do Formation of Vigor again. Back up with Juna. And we're going to do Masquerade Charge. As long as we keep getting dodges on Heisme, this is really just kind of our fight to win. I think at this point, I'm going to... Do I want to do Hero's Cry right now? Do I want to do it right now? I get extra 4 turn icons, which is good. Who would that end on? No, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use Hero's Cry right now. Since this is a one-time use ability, it is pretty important to keep track of what you're doing. Next, we're going to do Wanton Destruction. Okay, he's going to get his extra turn icon in just a moment. We're going to need to do Knight's Proclamation. With Juna, let's Masquerade Charge. We will be getting back to his turn again. So we're going to do Royal Sword. We're going to keep Basilio in the front. Wanton Destruction. And then with Heisme, we are going to do a Evil Eye Talisman. Juna's going to Masquerade Charge. And then we're going to get to Will's turn. He's going to go to the back. He's going to go to the rear guard. And we're going to do... let's do Vidartha again. Please attack Heisme. Dragon's Contempt once again, as you can see, has a full extra turn icon. He's now going to get a permanent another one. He's going to do Dragon's Contempt again because we've passed and pressed that 25% threshold. And he's doing it again because we've reached that lowest point. Hopefully, we have not reached him to a point where he's going to do Ill Wind, which is his Enrage button. Akara Karn, that's okay. Distant Black Howl. Can put Hex on the party. Hyper is going to increase his next magic attack. Breath of Brilliance is light. Oh, there goes Basilio. But we got, was that a repel or a dodge? I think it was a dodge. Okay, how do we want to handle this? I think Will does have an attack boost. I think what we do is we res Basilio. And we... Hang on. Do we have... Okay, we do have our buff. I think I just send this Royal Sword because the boss has... I think he has a weakness to... Yeah, he has a weakness to strike right now. I think we can do this. I think what we do is we do Royal Sword. We'll have to do it with... No, we'll have to do it with Heisme. Which is not going to do that much damage. And then we finish it off with Wanton Destruction. Whew, that was a scary turn, but okay. We were able to handle that pretty well. Thank you, Wanton Destruction, and thank you, Heisme. Look at that EXP, and we also got a Hero King's Ring.
A halfway decent result.
Not bad at all.
Nice. I'm better and stronger.
Whew. Did we make it back? Thank goodness we're alive. That battle was crazy.
What in the world?
Battle? What do you speak of? How could you have seen it when you looked to be entirely engrossed in that book?
Huh?
You're kidding, right? There was a dragon! A blood-red dragon, I swear! And it was ridiculously strong, too. The force of Magla was so huge I thought I'd pass out just looking at it. When I opened that book, it seemed an ordinary book. Perhaps it detailed the art of dragon creation.
Oh, that's right.
I see now. It's the Book of Apocalypse. It was truly written to destroy the world.
What?
What does that mean? I believe dragons were originally ancient weapons. Weapons dangerous enough to end all things. In fact, I believe they have destroyed the world once before already. The dragons you now find throughout the land are survivors from that time. So you're saying the book's never been...
Yes.
Has never been used and thus is preserved in its original condition. One may think of it as almost a new tome. Even though the dragons dwelling throughout the land may yet be a threat, their power has surely diminished due to their age. That said, the red dragon you speak of retained its perfect form. It was the deadliest weapon of all, and brought the world to ruin in the War of Destruction.
You can't mean
it. You say you defeated it. It was all bark and no bite. No, it definitely hit us pretty hard. We did. I suppose so.
Now why do that?
You are a marvel. And apparently you had no need of any warnings about the tome's dangers. Wonders never cease with me. The book's words rose from the paper and became an object. I obtained the Regalia of Gaius. The Gaius Regalia. I hear a voice I've heard before. A woman's voice, echoing in my head. To think, after all the efforts to keep it imprisoned, the dragon of destruction would one day be truly vanquished. Thy special power may portend that thou art protected, mayhap to serve some higher purpose. Now go forth without fear. Remember that what alters thy reality is always thine own heart. What's wrong, Will? You should get going now. With the skills you've got now, I bet you can go up against anybody without breaking a sweat. That's the hope. That's only one of 2 super bosses in the game. Let's go ahead and check out the 2 new accessories we got. We obtained the Gaius Regalia. Fully recovers HP and MP at the end of battle. A relic earned after defeating an immensely powerful dragon left over from the War of Destruction. This is really just kind of a trophy accessory. Like, yeah, being able to fully recover your HP and MP at the end of a fight is nice, because it means that you effectively have infinite HP and MP when going through a dungeon, but it's not very helpful now. It's just a nice kind of trophy, like, yeah, I beat the guy, yeah. I can show this off in my save file or my pictures, or hey, my Let's Play videos. I did it, yippee! And then of course we got the Hero's King Ring. Once worn by a hero who overcame countless trials, nullifies damage from all affinities except Almighty. This is essentially the Prince's affinities, but better. Instead of resisting everything, you nullify everything. If you're curious, this is also very similar to the Demi-Fiend's Essence in Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I think is pretty fun, but it's in the form of an accessory. So, is it better than anything? Honestly, if you're gonna put it on anyone, I would probably say to put it on Hulkenberg, because she's gonna be wanting to take hits, but if she nullifies everything, then you're gonna be able to just resolve a lot of problems. I think personally, it's best on her if you really want to put it on someone. Now, excuse me as I reload my save and beat this guy so I can get extra EXP from Unscathed Triumph.
What now?
They're down. Right?
Look at this amazing amount of EXP that I'm about to get. 48,750 EXP turned into 60,938. Perfect. and get 2 full level ups. Amazing. And away we go to Luis. As a reminder, do not fight any of the optional fights before going here. Do not fight any of them. Bad idea. See ya, Luis. Ooh, nice crit there. Easy dodge. He dodged it? Royal Slash. There we go. When it comes to battling against the Luis's true form, the setup that we've had for the Red Scale Apocalypse Dragon should be good enough to face Luis. As a final check, I'll showcase you what my build will be. King Sovereignty, Cardinal Dragon Robe, Reverend Crown, Utilitarian's Manual for Will, along with the Prince Archetype. Everyone will be on the Royal Archetypes. It's just fitting. This is Stroll's build. We will be using the Beloved Greatsword rather than the Dynastic Blade because the Beloved Greatsword will give him access to that Synthesis skill boost. Hulkenberg will be bringing in the Hero King's Ring. Makes sense to use it since we just got it, and it'll also give her the ability to nullify everything. Heisme is going to be our dodge tank. Make sure he has 99 agility. It's about as good as you're going to get. I also have the Yggdrasil Crown and the Venom War Charm on him to prevent both physical and mental status elements. Pretty much the only thing that could hit him is anxiety, but because of the King's Sovereignty Sword, we won't have to worry about that. Oh, as a side note, bring the sword in. Do not bring in the Dragon's Legacy. Bring the King's Sovereignty. Anxiety is a big issue with the Luis encounter. This sword makes it completely immune. Juna is going to be our buffer, as per usual. Utilitarian's Manual is a must for her, and she's pretty much going to be playing support whenever she's on the field. Yufa is going to be our AoE damage dealer and our oh shit button if we need to heal. And Basilio is going to be wanton destructioning, spamming all over Luis. It's basically what he's here for. Be sure to equip the Gambler's Manual, that way that the critical hit damage from this accessory is also applied to the weakness damage that he does from wanton destruction. I will be going into this fight with the same strat I did initially when I was showcasing this fight back in our full run through the game, bringing in Heisme, Yufa, and Basilio. We're going to be hoping for some dodge tanking. We'll see how well that goes. Yufa's going to be good for AoE damage and just extra support, though she might also be the first one swapped out for Juna or Stroll, depending on how things are going. And then Basilio is going to be doing Wanted Destruction to take care of the physical resistant mask, because that one is definitely our biggest issue. Will is going to be providing some debuff support and just overall good damage, and we're going to see how well we go. One thing I am going to do, with Yufa, I do want to make sure she has an extra healing skill. Having extra healing magic on the party is just valuable. I don't think we'll need it. We have plenty of items if we need to really heal our team, but just in case we need to, we have that. Let's go ahead and save. I'll see you on the other side. This first phase against the Mask of Mirth, Ire, and Joy really hasn't changed all that much. However, before we get into the real fight, I want to go ahead and talk about Luis's, or Destroyer Caradrius' design here. This design has a lot of moving parts to it. First things first, it is entirely based on the design of Satan in the Divine Comedy. As you can see here, it even has the 3 faces, and as we will see, the Destroyer Caradrius design is capable of eating people, as we see in this artwork of Satan who is trapped in ice. This version of Satan is merged with the Skyrunner Caradrius, which is kind of similar to that, but otherwise it's an amazing design. As you can see on the left and right side of the boss as well, we can see various tribes, all 8 of them, tied up on, or tied to crosses with numbers upon them. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of the tribes are accounted for and are being crucified upon Destroyer Caradrius. Basically, the world is screwed if he becomes the true king of Uchronia. One of my favorite designs, and trust me, we'll be talking about Phase 2's design in a second when we get there. We gotta get there first. First thing we're gonna do is run into Formation of Vigor. This boss loves to do Dekunda and Dekaja. Buffs do not stay on this boss very long, and he will remove as many buffs as he can on you. However, we can use that against him as a way of removing his actions, which, you know, if he's wasting a turn removing buffs and removing debuffs on him, that's not too bad. So what we're going to be doing is with Yufa, we're going to be applying a Evil Eye Talisman to the Mask of Ire. We want to make sure that at least one of his heads is debuff at all times. Now with Will, we do have Vidartha, and if we want to do this, we can. But I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to pass my turn over to Basilio, and we're going to do Wanton Destruction on the Mask of Iron. This is the mask that has a 90% resistance to physical. As long as we're doing weakness damage and we are hitting with Basilio, we won't have to worry about that damage reduction anytime soon. Knight's Proclamation here. With Yufa, we do have buffs on our team, which is good. What I'm going to do is go to Will. And Heroes Proving is a good option. I think what I'm going to do is, let me go to my items. I feel like what we're going to do is I'm going to put on a Makara Karn. Wait, no. I want a Makara Karn on Basilio.
Let's try this.
There we go. The Cold World. He always starts the encounter with this. As you can see, he has many more turn icons. The chance of inflicting anxieties reaches peak, doesn't matter to us. There's Heat Riser. Again, he's wasting his turns doing Heat Riser. Gablizaton, which is fine with us. Does weakness damage, but we can block it.
The inequities of the world can only be sacrifice.
Aha, here we are. New Dawn's Sacrifice. This is something we did not see at all in our initial encounter. At the end of every single turn, he will summon these puppets.
Wait, they're puppets?
As you can see right there, there is a platypus in his mouth. Whenever he does the sacrifice action, he will always summon a puppet in one of his 3 mouths, and if we do not destroy the puppet in time by dealing enough damage to the mask, he will gain a buff or do an action of some kind based on the tribe he is about to devour. Our goal is to make sure we never ever see this. Do enough damage to destroy the puppet, and you'll be okay. Right here, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to get Yufa up. This version of Destroyed Cradrius has access to a lot of elemental attacks, and so does the other one. So we need to be very, very careful with how we do this. Unfortunately, there's really not much else we can do. So I think this might be the first time that I swap Yufa out. I would love to utilize Summon Tyrant on her, but I think it's best if I get Juna out here. That way we can do some extra damage. With Will, we're gonna do Hero's Cry. That way we can get this fight back on our state. We need to make sure this fight is back in our corner here. Do this attack. We want Knight's Proclamation. Dodging anything will be very, very helpful here. Let's use Masquerade Charge. Now, Heismay has enough HP to where he will survive any major attack against him. We need to be very, 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 very careful here. I think with Will,
I wonder.
Do I want to try and destroy this mask? Do I think 20,000 HP? Do I think both Will and Basilio can take this thing? I don't think so. I think I have Vidartha here. And I do Wanton Destruction to do 10,000 damage. And then what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna do a life-saving medicine on Heismay. I'm a little worried about Juna here, but we might be okay. With sacrifices lost, the area is calm. Debilitate on Heismay, that's okay. Next, what he's gonna do, Hamadin. Nice dodge, okay. We want as many single target actions as possible because they'll all go to Heismay, which means more chances for us to dodge. Now we need to worry about our attack boost, which means we definitely want to do Formation of Vigor. But I also want to do Royal Sword here. 7,800 damage. We do Wanton Destruction, get our extra action. We want to do Formation of Vigor to raise our attack power. Juna needs to back up. Masquerade Charge. We don't have a Sublime Spoonful, so we might be in trouble here in terms of damage. What I might do is Vidartha. I think what I'll probably end up doing is I could swap out Juna here. I could swap Juna out for Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg has block everything, which is valuable. Or I could swap out Heismay for Hulkenberg. And that way, Heismay doesn't take any immediate damage. We take the block. Do I have a charge on Will? I do. I think I do. I think I swapped Juna out for... No, I swap Heismay out for Hulkenberg. Now, Basilio, I want him to back up. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Peerless Warcry to lower the attack and defense of all enemies by 2 ranks. Okay, now we have a blocker in here.
In vain. Give in to the truth. Your fantasy has no meaning whatsoever.
Okay, with no sacrifices to offer up, the area remains calm. Heat Riser. It's fine. Next is Mutadine on Hulkenberg. We repelled it with Omni Counter. Perfect. Okay, Hulkenberg. In this scenario, I think with you, Hulkenberg, I could Ultimate Guard to give a boost, but I think I swap you out now for Heisman. I think that's what I do. Juna doesn't need to do anything too crazy, because we don't have to worry about that. So I think what we do is we pass turn to Will, and we start blasting the... We want to blast the Mask of Joy next. We do Wanton Destruction on the Mask of Joy. We want to back up with Heismay, and we want to do Knight's Proclamation. Juna's in the back row. Next, we want to do Masquerade Charge. We do have the boys in the front row, which is a little dangerous, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be fine. No sacrifices to offer up, which is good. Dakunda, that's fine. That's fine. Gabout, okay, that's good. We got 4 blocks because we're all wearing Cardinal Dragon armor. Perfect. Okay. Thankfully, this version of this first phase gets easier as you progress because you're not going to have to worry about as many heads. Royal Sword. Hopefully, we do not get any dodges. We do not want him to make any crazy moves like that. We need a Formation of Vigor to keep our attack buffs going. Back up with Juna. Masquerade Charge once again. At this point in time, I think it's best if we back up with Will, pass turn, deal damage with Basilio, to take that down, back up here, use Knight's Proclamation, and then with Juna, we use where is it? We want to use a Evil Eye Talisman on the Mask of Mirth. That way he has stats that are lowered, so maybe it'll waste a turn doing something. Debilitate, that's going to be going on the party, that's going to go on Heismay, that's okay. Next he's going to do New Dawn Sacrifice, okay. Thankfully there's only 1 head left, and he's devouring the Response. We're going to make sure that he doesn't do that. With Will active, we do have Charge, so let's go ahead and run in here. Royal Sword with Juna as our party. That should destroy the puppet. Perfect. User action. Apply that weakness to strike. We can do Knight's Proclamation here, I think. No, we can pass turn, Masquerade Charge. We should be able to finish this first phase here. Royal Sword. Wanton Destruction. Barely. That's okay. We can Knight's Proclamation here. Next turn cycle around, we can finish this up. Sacrifice is lost, the area is calm. Heat Riser on himself. And then New Dawn Sacrifice. Once again, he's wasting his action doing this. We're just going to destroy the puppet. That, I believe, is supposed to be... I can't really get a good look at it. Is that supposed to be the Nydia? I think that's supposed to be the Nydia. I can't get a good look at it. Either way, let's go ahead and utilize... We've already done our buffs. So, I mean, I guess we pass turn here, and we go with Will, Royal Sword. And there's that phase done. So, dealing with 3 bosses at once is pretty difficult, right? That must have been the hardest phase of the fight, right? It didn't seem like there was all that much difference in this encounter. Oh boy, do I have something to tell you.
Not yet. I refuse. I won't let it end like this. You will be a sacrifice. You will sustain the strong. Oh, weak one. Oh, peon.
His Magla has gone out of control. At this rate, even a man of Luis's mental strength would lose his grip on sanity.
In the end, Even he couldn't escape his own anxiety.
Then by his own logic, we've got to put him down. The weak deserve to die. The bastard's own words, yeah?
If he saw a threat in our power, then let us wield it.
You can't just believe in nothing. Nobody can rely on themselves alone. It's a pitiful way to live, and it's time we put an end to it.
Louis Squeerburn! Here and now, I will strike you down!
Okay, it's time to do this. Give us our final call to arms.
Come on, everyone. Let's go!
Come on, this has to work.
Ooh, we get Victory Foresight at the very beginning. That is very thematic, and also, thank God. Welcome to the true fight against Astoria Caradrius. My favorite boss design ever. I mean, just look at this guy. It's insane. As you can see here, on each of his wings, he has the eyes of various tribes. We can see, if we go from the bottom right, we have the Nydia, the Mastari, the Peripus, and I'm assuming what is supposed to be the Elda. And in the bottom left, we have what is almost certainly the Resant, and then the Ujith, then the Clamar, and then the Ishkia. We have a very, very interesting character design. I mean, Luis is definitely inspired on Lucifer. I mean, Luis, Lucifer, they both have blonde hair. They're both considered to be very attractive and prideful, and they're leaders of armies. And, I mean, dude was Satan in Phase 1, now he is Lucifer. Yeah, he's basically a Lucifer stand-in, and this is such a good design, and one that is genuinely terrifying. Remember how big the Skyrunner is? This guy is massive. The game does not give a good example of just how big this guy is. Imagine a huge creature like this staring down at you with that one unblinking red eye with that smile. It's terrifying, and I love this boss look so much. Now let's talk about how this is the hardest fight in the entire game. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is the hardest fight in the game. The Red Scale Apocalypse Dragon? No. Destroy Caradrius is the hardest fight in the game, and we will be seeing why in just a second. For first, we need to be utilizing our 7 press turns to our best ability and getting as far into this encounter as we can. The first thing that we need to do is get Yufa out of here. She's not gonna be any help here. What we need is Hulkenberg and we need Juna. Heisme is valuable. Maybe we can make it with just Juna. I don't really want to rely too much on Heisme here, because if he doesn't dodge, we're in for a world of pain. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about that. We're gonna hold on to Hero's Cry. This is our oh shit button. We technically do have Sublime Spoonfuls in the back, but I'm not gonna use those for reasons. Let's use Vidartha to lower his attack and defense. This is another situation where we want to have him debuffed and our party buffed at all times to potentially waste his turn actions. Wanton Destruction is gonna be our main way of dealing damage to him alongside Royal Sword, just like Phase 1. Let's utilize Knight's Proclamation here to get some aggro going. Juna here is gonna need to Masquerade Charge, and then with our first action, what we're going to do is, instead of using any actions with Will, we are going to pass turn, go to Basilio, and we are going to guard. Look at this. 8 press turn icons! And we are going to be losing ours. High pressure. The cold world, which is going to make it to where anxiety reaches a peak. Doesn't matter to us. Dakunda. He's gonna lower his debuffs, remove them all. Deluso's Gaze. That is an action from one of the humans. Tempest Shot is one of his. We got a dodge there. Perfect. As you saw, Deluso's Gaze is from the Sleep Paralysis demon of mine, the Demon Baby. Every single boss fight human that we have in the Melancholy Star, every single human boss that's from the Tyrant Star has an action that Luis has. If you remember the statement that was a little strange whenever we were first playing this, where it said the chain had been broken or something like that. Every single time that had appeared, he was attempting to use an action from a previous human boss. Because we haven't destroyed those crystals, he now has full access to those. Not only that, he has 80,000 HP and 8 press turn icons. He originally only had 40,000 HP, and he only had 4 press turn icons. This is the hardest version of this encounter, and he has so many actions. There's really no way to protect against all of them, as he does have a lot of ally attacks, so it's really just about doing your best. Also, we lose access to a lot of our press turn icons, as you can see. We just started, and as you can, and there's really not a lot to say. This guy sucks to fight. It is rough out here. We do have our buffs, which is very valuable. However, I think it'd be best if we use this time to just fully fully restore our HP and MP. I think what we need to do is prioritize health over MP. So let's just do a Great Spirit Dust. That should be enough. I don't think we'll need a full HP recovery. Okay. Yakaja. That's not great, but we can live with it. As you can see, 8 press turn icons. Like, there's Sabara's Ink. Thankfully, Heizme has the ability to be immune to all ailments. AoE there, we need dodges. We need dodges from Heizme so bad to make this work.
Let's go.
Next with this, we could use Hero's Cry, which is valuable. But do I need those extra turns right now? I don't think so. I think what I do is Vidartha. Even though he Dakajas, that does not get rid of your concentrate, so we're okay to move forward and use Wanton Destruction here. Dealing good damage, but not crazy amounts of damage. We can use Formation of Vigor here. Back up with Juna. I think what we're going to do, I want to get to Heizme's turn again. I think we're going to pass turn with Juna. I think we're going to do Royal Sword here, which will do 14,000 damage, which is insane. We won't have the charge, which is unfortunate. I think with Basilio's turn, what I can do instead is I'll do my MP recovery here. Let's do our Cursed Love Ballad to get an extra 100 MP. There we go. Heizme needs to go into the back row. We need to use Knight's Proclamation. We need him to lose some press turn icons. Dakunda, yep, good. Butera's Sandstorm is almighty damage, but we gotta dodge on Basilio. Destructor's Flare. Oh, okay, we're losing a lot of HP here. We gotta dodge on Heizme, which is okay. Okay, what we need to do here is we need to get her up as soon as possible. So we are going to use a full HP here. Get her up.
Okay, let's do this.
Basilio. We need a fully HP heal, I think. Full HP heal. We can Knight's Proclamation next turn. Then we can charge. We can Knight's Proclamation, and then we charge.
I'll use this one.
Yeah.
Quite a boon.
Knight's Proclamation, then we charge. Take this as slow as you can. There's really no rush. Just, there is a gimmick to this fight that we haven't seen yet. But when it does appear, we'll talk about it, and we'll have to figure things out from there. High pressure is going to suck. It's gonna suck a lot. Prevents action, which makes us lose a press turn icon. The Kaja sucks, but we have the concentrate, which is okay. Orleo's Wing Beat, we gotta dodge. Nice. Okay, as you can see, we lose our press turn icons. We literally only have one to work with whenever he does high pressure there. In this scenario, I think what we do is we Vidartha. We rush up with neither of the H's. With Basilio, we deal damage, and then we Knight's Proclamation. That way we can continue that pressure.
A foolish people, fearing and denying solitude. Be gone from this world.
Whenever he says that, he calls out a specific tribe, one that correlates to one of our party members. The Nydia, in this case, is Juna. If you do not get Juna out of the fight as soon as possible, she will be instantly killed. What happened? I think she might just die here anyways, because Emerald Vortex is probably gonna kill her. Oh, we've got 3 deaths. It's just Will. No, it's just Will. This sucks. And he's got Forget. Okay. We need to figure this out. Okay, give me a second. I need to figure this out. All right, let's go ahead and clear this Forget. That's definitely step number 1. Let's use Hero's Cry to give ourselves 4 press turn icons to solve this conundrum, because this sucks. Okay. Okay, here is my plan. I'm not certain it'll work, but we're gonna try. We're gonna get Juna up. We need to swap her out anyways, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get her up, and then we are going to swap her out. We can't swap dead teammates, which is unfortunate. We're gonna swap her out for Yufa.
Please leave this to me.
Will, at this point, is going to do a... we could do a barrier of some kind. I think what's best for us to do... I think what I'm gonna do is use an adamantine honey cake on Yufa.
Thank you.
Yufa's gonna go to the back row, and we're gonna use Summon Harvest God. Summons Ishtar, which we haven't seen yet. And that'll fully heal everyone and fully revive them. At this point in time, everyone's back up, has full health. Yufa's in the field, which is fine, but now we've just got to survive this. No tribes are facing elimination because we got Juna out of the field. There's Debilitate on Will, which sucks. Avada's Dusting is fine because it's on Heisme. Destructor's Flare sucks. We need a dodge, Heisme. Thank you, thank God. Okay. I know I have a lot of elements slowing me down. I know. Okay, we are good to bring in Juna again if we want to. I think that's definitely the play. Let's bring Juna back into the field, swap out Yufa. At this point in time, we should probably play safe. I think we can do good damage to him. I don't have a charge on Basilio. We have a lot of problems here. I think the best thing for me to do is probably pass turn and just play safe. Let's use Knight's Proclamation to preserve our damage. Juna, on the other hand, can use Dekaja or Dakunda. So Dekaja, he does nothing on there. Dakunda will get rid of all of those problems on Will, but I could charge and use Will's turn to do that. I think I'll do that. I'll use Masquerade Charge. I can get rid of those elements on Will's turn. I can use Hero's Proving to technically get rid of them, so we'll just do that. And then Basilio, we should top everyone up. So let's use a Curative Coney Roast to top everyone's HP up. Our MP is not looking too great, but we have answers for that. High Pressure, that sucks. That's gonna make it to where it's just Heisme and Juna that can move, which will suck, but that's okay. Dekaja's perfectly okay. I'm okay with that. I need to put some debuffs on him so he can waste his actions. We got a dodge there, which is perfect. It's unfortunate that Batera's Sandstorm is an almighty move. It really sucks. We need to use Knight's Proclamation here, otherwise we're definitely gonna struggle a little bit. I think in this case, we're actually gonna use a Evil Eye Talisman to debilitate him. I want him to waste his turns working on that. There's Dakunda, there we go. We wanted him to waste his action on that. Now he's gonna do Avada's Dusting, which is okay. That's just basically a waste of an action. Slam on Heisme? Yes, a dodge! Okay, good. As you can see, not having Heisme dodge this or having Hulkenberg just face tank everything, you are in for a world of hurt. We use Vidartha here to lower his attack and defense. We can bring in Basilio, who has a boost, do some good damage, 7k. Knight's Proclamation. I don't think I'm gonna worry about doing attack boosts from here on. From here, we need to use Masquerade Charge again to boost Basilio's damage. I think Will, at this point, we have that attack boost. Do I want to put Will in the front? I don't think I do right now. I don't want to put him in the front unless I can guarantee he's okay. So I think what I'm going to do next is I am going to do a Dragon Blood Sap on Will to recover all of his MP and HP. Wanton Destruction. No, a miss! Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, at least it happened at the end of the turn. There's a Dakunda. That's okay. It's a waste of a turn. Margot's Beckoning, which is it sucks. It's just full on damage, which we haven't seen that move before because we'd never let Margot move. Oh, come on, Heisme! No, he didn't dodge! Okay, we have to survive this whole turn now. Come on, can I see a dodge? Can I see a dodge? No, we got weakness. There's Heat Riser. Will's gonna need to survive this. That dodge sucked. Margot's Beckoning, okay. We're standing strong. Tempest Shot. 16, no! Am I gonna lose? Ah! Alright, yeah, this fight's hard. I'll see you back in phase 2.
Alright, thanks.
My friends,
That helped.
on me we go together. Ideals to hidden art. Then again, this should work.
I call upon a royal soul. Enough seems like a waste. Defending for now.
Behold. Forward! Let's work together! Still up?
Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, Dakunda, it's fine. Hold it, Born of Fantasy, it must not be, yes. Martira Arc from PC dodge, thank you, 2 dodges. Oh my gosh. I have been here for 30 minutes. Okay.
Here I go.
Next, Wanton Destruction. 8,000 damage. You don't need a Formation of Vigor just yet. Evil Eye Talisman. The Masquerade Charge. Boost everyone's attack power. This should be it. This should be it. Royal Sword. Come on, Will! Send us home! Come on! Yeah! Oh my goodness. There we go. And that's it. That's Luis on Regicide. Okay. It's great. You know, Metaphor Fantazio is a great game and all. I mean, I just played through it 2 full times for you guys. But there is one thing I will not excuse. Why the hell are we not allowed to wear these outfits? Huh? Huh? There's no paid DLC, there's no New Game Plus unlock, or anything for these badass 6 Partisans outfits. Like, what the hell? What is going on with Atlas? 0 out of 10, Metaphor is actually a trash game. I've hated it all this time. I cannot believe they do not let you wear that awesome fit. I mean, come on, it looks so damn cool. I mean, Heisman with this cool-ass hat? Yes, I would love it. I mean, dude, Basilio's got that on. Alas, it's not meant to be. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, we can now see that the flag for the Kingdom of Urconia has altered. This is obviously meant to be Will's flag, and I kind of see it as, since the dragon head is still there, and we can see the dragon body, I would like to assume this is the Dragon Slayer's flag. I mean, if you did the Trial of the Dragon questline, there will be citizens and people like Moore will tell you that you are the Dragon Slayer King. That's your title. Like how some titles of kings were the Mage King or the Berserker King, we are the Dragon Slayer King. I like the idea that the circle that we see there is just kind of a hole in the dragon's body, and symbolizing that we did defeat the dragon. But who knows? I might be wrong on that. And there we go. We've completed Metaphor Fantazio once again. I mean, I've already given you my opinions on the game, so I don't really think there's much else to describe here during the credits. But we're not done just yet, because I have a lot of people I want to thank for this project. So, I will see you one last time at one of my favorite spots in the entire game. Well, here we are. Finally, after 2 long playthroughs of this game, we've made it to the very end. And, of course, as usual, I want to thank some people, because without their resources or their aid, this project would not have been nearly as easy to stomach making. And that's not saying this was easy to make, it's just, it would have been a lot harder. First, I want to thank the cutting room floor for having access to a lot of the unused and hidden features of Metaphor Fantazio just available on the website. Pretty much 90% of the things I talked about in this video right now was found on that website. And I wouldn't have nearly as many interesting factoids about Metaphor's development or theories about it if it wasn't for them. So I really want to thank them for that. Next, I want to thank 10 Square 3 for having an amazing walkthrough that I could use as sort of a springboard for my own, as their 100% walkthrough was the main inspiration for mine. Now, there's 2 other content creators on YouTube that I also want to give a shout out to for being just 2 amazing Metaphor content creators and 2 individuals who, as I was making my series, they were coming out with content for this game, and it sort of acted as a reminder to just keep working at it, and seeing just how well their stuff was going inspired me to keep making my stuff. First, I want to thank Deus for being just an absolutely amazing Megaten content creator, just straight up, and having an incredible video about how to beat Metaphor Fantazio on Regicide at level 1. This 7-hour-long video is genuinely one of the best things I've seen on YouTube, and I learned a lot from this. I also want to thank BigKlingy for making an amazing series over Metaphor around the same time that I have, as well as creating an awesome, just 2-hour-long video going over every single archetype and their pros and cons. Genuinely speaking, it is better than anything I could have made with my overviews, which is why in my Seeker video and in this video, I will be leaving a link to that video from BigKlingy, because honestly, that's all you really need. I also want to go ahead and thank all of you for watching. I mean, it's been 102 episodes of pure madness. This is, if you were to put all the videos together, this is easily the longest series I've ever done. Yeah, this was a long game and a very big commitment to make and to sit through. So I thank you all so much for bearing with me for this. And then lastly, I want to thank my grandfather, Steve, who is currently an artist and art history professor, who helped me get a better understanding of the connections between Metaphor's world and setting and the paintings and triptychs that inspired it. As while I had done my own research, a lot of the art history and the world's politics that were going around during the Renaissance and the Reformation era was known to be, but not nearly as much as I thought I did. And he opened my eyes to a lot of little connections that I could make between Bosch's works and Metaphor's world that I'm surprised I never caught on my first run through, because it felt so obvious. This series really is in honor of him. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I want to thank you one more time for sitting here and watching through this series. And I mean, honestly, if this is the first video you're watching in the playlist, go back and watch it. It was not a bad series. It wasn't that bad. Next time, I am likely going to be releasing something very, very different. I don't know what the future holds for this channel, but I am excited to see what I can make and how you all react to it. So, with that said, farewell to the Kingdom of Urchronia, farewell to Will and his party members, and I'll see you soon.